This episode is brought to you by Cellular Performance Institute. Is your body beat up and broken down? Look into stem cells today. It could change your life. Go to cellularperformanceinstitute.com. For all you jiu-jitsu heads out there, join me December 6th at 10th Planet St. Paul for a seminar, and I'll be at 10th Planet Boca Raton January 24th. Join Sam Tripoli and I on the road for Tinfoil Hat Comedy, November 21st in Las Vegas. Go to samtripoli.com for tickets. See you on the road.
I can't believe I won.
And you still got people out there with double masks and face shields and shit. Look into it.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Look Into It Tonight. No conspiracy theories, none of that shit. It's all music with the legendary music producer, Howard Benson. What's up, Howard?
Hey, man. It's good to finally meet you on a podcast, but I met you in person at the 3 Days Grace show, which was pretty epic. And,
yeah, the way that all went down, dude, because I'm working, Cam, the producer, who you're working with too, with Dreambeard and that whole project. Well, Cam, I'm working with Cam too musically, and he was all like, hey, we're going to be in L.A. The drummer of 3 Days Grace, I guess, I thought he did jujitsu because Cam said, oh, he likes you or whatever. And I'm like, oh, he must do jujitsu. Like in today's world, one dude per band does jujitsu. So I'm like, oh, okay. And he goes, we're going to come down to LA. You should come down and they want you to walk them out. I'm like, okay, like walk them. I didn't know what walk them out meant. I'm like, what? Walk them out. Okay, whatever. I'm down because I love 3 Days Grace. And I Hate Everything About You. That's on my all-time playlist. Never Too Late. Never Too Late's probably one of the greatest songs ever written. So I'm like, what? The drummer likes me? Fuck yeah, let's go. So the time came, I kind of forgot about it. And Cam's like, we're in L.A. You're still down, right? Because it was like a Monday night in Ontario. And I was like, okay, hell yeah, I'm fucking down. I called someone to cover my jujitsu classes. And I showed up, and I still didn't know what the fuck was going on. They want me to walk them out. I'm like, usually when bands appear on stage, they come from backstage.
Right.
I go, they want me to walk them out from backstage? Like, that's going to look retarded, and no one cares about me. Like, but I'm there, whatever. I didn't get it. Then I understood they wanted to walk out like a UFC fighter. Like, instead of the band walking out from backstage, they're walking through the audience like it's a prize fight, like it's a Mike Tyson fight. And then I didn't understand that till like 2 minutes before, because they're like, where are you at? I'm like, taking a piss. Like, dude, we're about to walk out. I'm like, I'm backstage. I don't see nobody. They go, dude, we're on the other side of the fucking arena. I'm like, what? What's going on? I had no idea. They didn't explain it to me. So now, like, the video's out. I'm walking out. It's crazy. Like, that was fucking insane. I'm walking out with 3 Days Grace. I'm thinking, it felt like I had like VR goggles, and I'm like, walk out with your favorite band, featuring 3 Days Grace. You could walk out with your favorite. I felt like, what the fuck? Everybody's screaming. I'm walking. It's insane. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, how did you get into them? Were you introduced to them on the radio, or was it MTV, or did you know?
This is the crazy thing. There's a crazy thing about 3 Days Grace. Is the first song I heard was I Hate Everything About You. And this is going to sound like mystical and shit, but for a while there, and even today, it happens all the time. I get like, what synchronicities are?
Yeah.
Synchronicities are when, like, you think of someone that you haven't talked to in fucking 15 years, and
they're thinking of you.
And then they call you.
Right, exactly, yeah.
or you're thinking about something that you haven't thought about in forever, and then you see a sign that says the same thing. You're like, what the fuck is going on? So this is like 2004, 2005 or something. I'm at the gym working out, and I have my iPod. Remember the iPods and the iPod shuffle? And I put everything on shuffle. I don't want to know what's next. I don't want to pick what's next. Are you like that? Like shuffles everything, right?
It's funny if it's an album that I grew up with that I listened from front to back, I'll put it on that order, but generally shuffle. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be surprised.
I can't listen to Tommy. I have to listen to Tommy in order.
Oh yeah, okay. There's certain. Yeah, for sure. But real quick, I'm at 24 Hour Fitness, and I'm like, I'm getting crushed by. I hate everything about you, and I put it on shuffle, and I go, I hate everything about you. Like I thought about it, I didn't even say it, and I just pressed it, and it came on. Out of like the 2,000 songs I had, I'm like, what the fuck? That was crazy. And then the next day at the gym, the same fucking thing. I said, I hate everything about you. Boom. And it popped up again. And I didn't actually say it. And it's not like they had AI back then. This was like 2005 or something. And I had so many synchronicities like that in my life. And I used to write them down. I used to have all these notes. I'm like, to show people, I'm like, what is going on? So I started looking at Carl Jung, and I'm like, what are these synchronicities? What's going on? And I forgot about all of them. I wrote them all down, and I'm like, there's so many in my life that were so crazy, but that's one I never forgot about. That's one. So when I'm walking out with 3 Days Grace in the middle of this fucking sold out arena, I thought about that synchronicity. I'm like, what the fuck? You know, and then it was insane, man. It really was insane. And and then I met you backstage. You were there with your wife, and we were talking about, remember we were talking about strip clubs and stuff? I don't know if you remember that.
That's actually turned into a pretty good story that Mike and I tell to people that our wives are sitting there.
Yeah.
It's funny. Yeah. That was funny.
I was a DJ at a strip club for 10 years, so everybody knows that, and they're sick of hearing about it. But okay, dude, you are one of the greatest producers. You're like Rick Rubin status. You're like fucking Butch Vig. You're like fucking huge. And I really didn't know about you. I'll be honest with you. I really didn't know. I knew about 3 Days Grace, but I didn't know you produced them. I knew everything about music in the 80s and the 90s. I knew fucking everything. Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, all that grunge, metal, hair metal. I grew up grew up as a teenager on the Sunset Strip while Guns N' Roses was trying to make it. I was like on the strip with them, you know, so
probably ran into you.
Dude, it
up
was
there.
Yeah, you know? Like right on Sunset when all that shit was going down. And I noticed you produced Pretty Boy Floyd.
I did.
I was right there on the Sunset Strip when they're flying Pretty Boy Floyd. And they're going to be the next big thing. They're the next big thing. And
that's a story in itself, that one.
But in the 2000s, I stopped DJing and I stopped keeping track of shit like the liner notes and credits and all that shit. So like I never got into there's a lot of bands that I didn't have time for. I never got into My Chemical Romance. I was like on some other shit. I was like, I don't know what the fuck. In the 2000s, that's when my jujitsu blew up. So I stopped paying attention to Billboard. I used to pay attention. I used to look at Billboard magazine and know everybody in the fucking top 100. But then in the 2000s, the jujitsu blew up, and the music didn't. So my attention shifted. So I didn't know about you. I know all about Butch Vig. I know the whole Butch Vig story with Smashing Pumpkins and Nirvana. I fucking know that story big time.
Yeah.
But Cam, I'm working with Cam in Atlanta. And he's like telling me, he goes, yo, Howard Benson's going to be there too, man. He's a fucking huge producer. I'm like, okay, I don't really know Howard Benson. So then I met you. I didn't recognize you. I didn't know you. But then I met you and I looked into you and I'm like, God damn, you produced a shit ton of huge albums. It was like, it's insane. It's insane. Like you were in the 80s, you were in a band. Typical, like Butch Vig was in a band, he played drums, and then he became a producer. The same thing with you, right? You were in a band, and then you realized, like, I just want to produce bands, right?
That's pretty much what happened. I think that we were in a band that really, really sucked, to be honest. Like,
what was the name of it?
Hate Ball.
Hate Ball?
Yeah.
Hate, and, like not 8 Ball, but hate?
Yeah.
That's genius. I like
it's
that.
genius. Yeah, except if I showed you pictures, you would laugh your ass off. We thought we were like a combination of Duran Duran and like, I don't know what we were, but I was a kid from Philly. I grew up in a good family. I was an Eagles fan. I was just like a normal kid, you know? And I think when we came out to LA, we had visions of grandeur. Like we were, I came out, my guitar player came out. We were writing songs, all this kind of stuff. We had an investor that was friendly with Clive Davis. So we had a hookup more or less to the music business. We made a bunch of demos with producers, and we thought, this is how misguided you can really be in your life. I've realized that sometimes when I'm talking to artists, I have to remember how misguided I was to relate to how misguided they may be. Like they may be seeing this over here when the music business is over there, and you try to like reset a little bit of their expectations about what they're trying to do with their career, because mine were like, I thought we were going to be huge rock stars. I didn't realize, and we would laugh. We would go across the street and look at the Motley Crue, right? We'd laugh at them. Look at those guys in makeup. They're playing like songs with 3 chords, we're playing like Steely Dan infused jazz, kind of like, safe. That's what I would say.
Trying to impress musicians.
Yeah, exactly. And safe, because we're writing about how we miss our parents. And it was so great being like living in Philadelphia and going to college, and as I got further and further in the music business, Desmond Child once said something to me that when I was writing with him, he said, Howard, nobody cares about shit like that. Like you're an engineer, you're an aerospace, you're coming from an aerospace engineering background. You're with your head, you're thinking with your head too much. You got to start thinking here. And it takes a while to unwind that. Do you know what I mean? Like where everything adds up, like 2 + 2 does not add up to 4 in the music business at all. That's not it. But, when I was working at Garrett, 2 + 2 had to add up to 4 or else the plane would crash, But in our business, it's not like that. We're selling feelings and emotion, sadness, envy, jealousy, moroseness, anything that has to do with feelings. That's what we're plying our trade as. But you don't know that when you're coming up to it. You think that if you just tell about your life and things like that, everybody's going to buy into it. They're not. So once our first bunch of demos got rejected, it was pretty sad. I was pretty depressed about it. Like, I thought we were going to be huge. I really did. I was so convinced that we were the biggest band on the Sunset Strip, yet nobody was showing up at our shows. I didn't realize that was a tell as well,
So you guys were metal, but
no, we were a rock band, like a soft rock band.
Okay, and now what position did you play? What instrument did you play?
I was the keyboard player and arranger.
And you grew up playing piano?
Keyboards, yeah. I was pretty good at it, actually.
So classically trained?
No, I was one of the guys that could play by ear. I had a mom who's a music teacher. So I grew up, I could sit down and play like anything I heard. I don't know why I have that talent, but I was really good at memorizing. Like in every band I was in, I happened to end up being the arranger. So like when I was in a disco band playing down the shore in Jersey, we had a 7-piece band with horns. We had to learn, I know to some people this may sound very like, how can you play songs like that? But I had to learn all Saturday Night Fever. I learned every disco song there was. I learned every rock song there was. I knew every song in the 70s and part of the 80s, chart them out, write the chords out, tell the horn players what to play, what the chord changes were. I learned about how to talk in like interval, like how to transpose music really quickly. So when you combine that with wanting to be in a band and trying to think you're a rock star, but you have all this other stuff that you've learned throughout the years, it kind of adds up to being a music producer in a weird way. You just have to learn how to handle yourself in the studio. Like, how do I, make a record with this bunch of guys, convince them that I have good ideas while maintaining their vision about who they are. It's a really hard talent. A lot of people think that just coming up with loops or coming up with parts is producing, and that's not producing. Producing is the word produce means to finish something, to produce, to get it done out in the stores, to get it out at streaming and all that stuff. And it takes a long time to develop that craft. It's not something you do overnight. And when I started doing it, I thought it was a little bit easier than it was. And then I kind of realized, wait a minute, like I need to learn the craft of how to manage people. Like you have that probably in your business. Like, how do I manage people in these classes that you do and these things you teach? How do I get up in front of people and command, in the studio, it's like you have basically 5 to 8 people or something that they have to believe in you. But you also have to have the chops. You have to understand what chords are, what arrangements are, what good lyrics are, what good lyrics aren't. A lot of that comes from all the work you do as a kid, from learning Rolling Stone songs and Beatles songs and memorizing them all, and Doors songs and Motley Crue songs and Bon Jovi songs, and watching guys like Bruce Fairbairn produce and Mutt Lange produce, and all this stuff comes together. And then when you finally find the right artist that you're ready, you can have a pretty decent career. That's what happened to me.
Stem cells, they could do some wild shit down there.
I got the stem cells in my shoulder. My shoulder was jacked. I went down there, worked, man.
Eric Anders' neck was up, and then he went down and got stem cell treatment. Now it doesn't bother him at all anymore.
I definitely recommend CPI. It's changed my life. The best stem cell clinic in the world.
I just come and I do stem cells to make sure that I'm resetting my body and staying healthy.
It regenerates tissue, reduces inflammation. The results are amazing.
CPI Stem Cells is where you want to go. There's no other place in town. They do the best work in the world. I feel incredible.
If there's anything causing you to not live the quality of life that you like, then this investment is more than worth it.
When it comes to the science of stem cells, no one comes close to CPI. There's not even a close second.
For a free doctor call to see if stem cells is the right option for you, visit us at cpistemcells.com.
When you know about Bang Tango, that was one of the first records I had done.
Dude,
and after that, it was
Bang Tango, dude. That.
You were in the band.
like briefly when they were dead. The story was
but you told me that. That's crazy.
Dude, that Someone Like You, that's a great song. And Bang Tango wasn't like your typical hair metal band. They had a little dark wave, little goth element to it. Joe Lestay's voice, he sounded a little like Billy Idol. He loved Billy Idol.
That's right.
Yeah. And
we were like left of center at that point. You know what I mean?
But it was too late. It was too little, too late. It was too late.
Yeah.
They pulled the plug on hair metal. It was over. Bang Tango. They did have some success on MTV. They played that shit on MTV, but like a month later, they pulled the plug.
And a lot of those
crazy.
records I did were, learning experiences for me, because I realized how quickly your career can go away. Like here I'm producing Pretty Boy Floyd and Bang Tango and Child's Play and Little Caesar and all these kind of hair metal bands. And then a band like Nirvana pops up and shit cans them all. Like in one fell swoop, phew, they're all gone and your career's over, that was probably one of the greatest learning experiences of my life, is I had to reinvent myself. Like I was like, wait a second, I'm a hair metal producer and they're hiring these people anymore. So what do I do?
Can you take me through the transition between you being a keyboardist in a band and you becoming a hair metal producer? Like what was that about?
So after my band decided we were not going to we finally hit the wall after about 3 years and realized
what year? Like 88, 89?
No, that was like 84, 85.
Oh, damn, that
like
early.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you became a producer at like 84, 85.
Well, my first record wasn't till 86, but I was working as an aerospace engineer for 4 years, from 1980 to 1984 at Garrett down in the South Bay. So I was living.
So that was your day job.
Right?
Your day job in the South Bay was an aerospace engineer, but you were also in a band.
Yeah, I worked. That was the days of like 24/7 craziness. Like I would go down in my shirt and tie and a little pocket protector. I got some pretty funny pictures of that. And I did I liked being an engineer. Let me put it this way. If I had been an engineer the rest of my life, I probably wouldn't have been that upset about it, because I was doing good. I got promoted a bunch of times. I ended up in mechanical power systems, working on leading edge sled actuation systems for F-18s and F-5s and C-5s and C-5Bs. I worked on the space shuttle for a while, and I really liked it because it was exciting work. You were working on stuff that was, you could watch your shit take off, you could watch it happen. But there was always this part of me that wanted to do music. And, if you think about a producer, those two sides, the mechanical, the engineering side and the creative side, it's a pretty good combination of things, Yeah. It kind of prepared me for some of the future. So what happens was I quit my job, which my parents were like, they could not believe I actually quit my job.
Why did you quit your job?
Because I knew at that point the demos I was making at home on my little 4-track cassette player.
As a producer?
That was calling myself a producer. I was using the, it's Hollywood. You can call yourself anything.
Let's get into let's get like from here. Let's keep it going into your very first band that you produced.
So there's 2 years between when I quit my job and the first band I produced, which was basically living in Playa del Rey, starving, eating ramen every day, right? I got a little lucky because the person who owned the condo I was living in wanted to sell it, so they were letting me live there rent-free. So I was able to have 2 years of rent-free, and I was doing demos for local. At that time, I had a small little home studio with a 4-track Tascam, right? Okay. And I was making demos for bands, and slowly but surely, I started working at Sunset. There was an assistant engineer at Sunset Sound named Bill Jackson, who wanted to work with a producer so he could do. He wasn't a musical guy, so I don't remember how I got to meet him, but I ended up at Sunset Sound in the evening, like from 8 o'clock to like 5 a.m, doing my own projects. And I met a band called Jack Mack and the Heart Attack in the clubs. They were a band that was signed to Full Moon Records, Warner Brothers, that was dropped. They were a 10-piece horn band, soul band. And I said to them, I'll make your demos. And I volunteered to make their demos. I got them into Sunset Sound. It took us 2 years to do 3 songs, right? This is how little I knew about it, right?
By the way, horns. How do you record horns?
I didn't know how to do it, right? But luckily I had a really good engineer. But it was funny, the first session date, I learned a lot about working with my heart, because I sketched the first date. The band said, okay, what time do we get to the studio? And I said, 8 o'clock, and 8:10 will be drums, and 8:16 will be this, and 8:22 will be, like I did at the engineering when I was an engineer. Everything was, like that by the minute. And the band shows up 4 hours late, right? And they're like, I said, well, what are you guys doing? You're so late. And they're all stoned and fucked up and everything. And they're like, dude, you got to start thinking with your heart here, man. You're in the wrong business if you think we're following some fucking schedule. I was like, what do you mean by that? So, but I remember like that was one of those moments where you just go, man, I got to readjust, to what's really like these artists don't care about like that stuff, So I made this demo and everything like that. And then I got a little shitty manager who nobody ever heard of, who ran into a band called TSOL at the Denny's on Vine Street at Sunset. You can't make this shit up, right? And this band, TSOL, had been dropped by Enigma Records. They were sitting across the booth from this manager. And he heard them talking about what are we going to do with our lives? And all right, we got dropped by Enigma. And he goes, I have a producer. I manage a producer, being me, like who's never made any records. But I knew Sunset Sound. So I somehow finagled my way into Sunset Sound with these guys and ended up finishing their half-done album. And it got released. That was my first release.
They're like I never got it deep into them or anything. They're like punk, right? Punk?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. South Bay punk band.
Okay.
And then, at that point, I took anything I could take. I did some jazz albums. Just, you start in our, it's like anything. You start to network with people, and people find out that you have these hookups at Sunset Sound and they want to do stuff with you. So I started doing more and more stuff. And then I guess with the first record that did anything for me was really Bang Tango. So that was just me showing up at the Sunset Strip, probably like you are, going to Gazzari's.
Yeah.
No,
I was too young to get into the clubs. I was 16, 17, 18. I was just hanging out on the strip looking for chicks.
For all your 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu merchandise, please visit 10thplanetjj.com/shop. We also got a Look Into It t-shirt that just dropped. Thank you very much for your support.
And it was, but there's plenty of chicks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
And it was Ron Jeremy. They were all there. Remember? I mean, I'm serious. I used to run into those guys constantly out there, just walking around, It
was insane. Those glory days of what it really was when Poison and Motley Crue blew up, there was a lot, like it was huge. They went platinum, multi-platinum, but regular girls, they still weren't into long-haired dudes at all. It wasn't until 1988, January of 1988, when Appetite of Destruction finally popped. It took a while, but when Guns N' Roses finally popped, all girls wanted long-haired dudes. R&B chicks, secretary chicks, chicks that were into like fucking country. Everybody wanted a long-haired guy from 1988 to 1991 when Nirvana killed the pussy. That was
That's exactly right. And it's funny you mentioned Guns N' Roses. I remember watching them on MTV with what do you call it? Welcome to the Jungle. this has changed everything. Like it was almost like the Nirvana thing. Was that kind of you knew something changed in the world, you know?
Yeah.
But from then on, I happened to be really good friends with Chris DeMakes from Less Than Jake, the singer, right? He's a huge metalhead. So we made a list of all the bands that got signed between 1988 and 1991. There's like a 500 list. Every band that played on the Sunset Strip got signed. It was insane. You would go there, I'd go to Gazzari's, and it'd be 4 bands, and the next day they were all of them were signed. You know, they weren't even good, these bands, you know.
Remember the band, remember Paradise?
I remember them all. They're on my list, I bet you. I could send you this list. It's a funny list.
Yeah.
Like, there were so many bands. But what happened is that people like me were record producers. We couldn't tell which ones were really going to break through or not. Like, I thought Pretty Boy Floyd was going to be huge.
Yeah, but it looked like they were the next ones. Like, I was like, you know, 17, 18. I'm like, it looks like Pretty Boy Floyd. They're getting, you know, they look so much like Chicks. They were like, they took Poison on to another level. And then they got signed to a major record label.
MCA. Yeah.
What happened?
I think it was too late.
It was too late.
Too late, but also it wasn't really real, to be honest with you. Like Poison was still, Bret Michaels was the real deal, you know? I think there was something about that band because when I produced them, a lot of it was studio trickery, you know? Yeah. Not that there wasn't studio trickery back then, but this was really studio trickery, you know? So like, I think some of the bands were they were a knockoff of a knockoff, you know? And I think by that point, the people were like, wait a minute, these bands doing anything original anymore? They weren't. They were all writing the same song, the same the ballads.
I was waiting for hair metal. I wanted hair metal to get eliminated. I was ready for it. I was so sick of. I liked that it got me girls. I did like that because I had long hair, but I was into like Slayer and Metallica and the German thrash scene, Destruction, Sodom. I was like a super heavy speed metal guy, but I was using the hair metal to get girls, so I did appreciate that. But on just a straight musical level, I couldn't wait till they pulled the plug. When I heard Nirvana, I was like, thank you. When I heard Alice in Chains, I was like, thank you. That's what we need. We need dudes committing suicide and doing heroin. That's what we need.
Right. And that's exactly what the Seattle scene brought to it. You know, it was real. Yeah. River's Edge. The movie River's Edge was
still
like,
to this day, there will never be another Alice in Chains. Like, God damn, they were
the OGs of that stuff.
Oh my God. The fact that that Jerry Cantrell was a singer in the band. He was actually, he was like a lot of bands like I love Queensryche, but all the vocals were Jeff Tate. Chris DeGarmo, he sang live and he sang great, but everything was Jeff Tate. I love like Depeche Mode is Martin Gore and Dave Gahan, and Alice in Chains was Jerry Cantrell, Lane Staley. They both sang.
Right.
They were both a big part of it. And like Wood, one of Alice in Chains' greatest songs, it starts off, the verses start off with Jerry Cantrell singing. I love that shit. It was like the Beatles. It's kind of like Kiss, because Kiss was like my first, that Kiss is what made me want to be a rock star. Kiss. I love the different vocals and the different harmonies. I love all that shit. Like, and I was just watching an interview with you today, and you were so into talking about how important vocal melodies are and harmonies. I'm like, fuck yeah, it's all about the vocal melodies. I mean, it's all about that. Like everything else is just like, yeah, you can, I fully respect 1,000,000% Tool, fully respect them. It's just not my cup of tea. Too much. I want to hear vocal. I like A Perfect Circle, because A Perfect Circle is Maynard's version of Tool that's more vocal melody oriented. Like Perfect Circle. Yeah. I fucking love Perfect Circle. And Pussifer, the song Remedy.
I
one of the greatest songs ever. It's all about the vocal melody. So hearing you talk about how important that is and everything else is just secondary. Who cares about the production if there's no vocal melodies? If there's no vocal hooks, you could have the greatest production in the world. Who gives a fuck?
That's it. That's right. And it takes a while to get there as a producer, because a lot of times you're in a situation with a 5-piece band, and you remember the vocalist is only 1/5 of the band. So you got 4 other guys who want, and by the way, kudos to them, but their 4 parts are to them the most important things in the world. So you can get easily distracted by that stuff in the studio, where you just go, okay, we're going to spend the next 2 days getting a snare drum sound. And then we're going to spend the next 4 days getting this sound and that sound and this sound. And by the time you get to the end of the project, you have 4 days left to do all the lead vocals. Well, in my world, I flipped that around and just said, you know what? I'm not taking 4 days to do lead vocals. I'm starting lead vocals day one. I'll do them to the demo if I have to. But I want to spend time on the melodies. I want to get the harmonies right. Because and people have heard this say to me say this before, but you're walking through you're out there in the wild. What are you really hearing from songs that are distant from you, from, say, the speakers at CVS, or on the beach from a boombox, or in a car with a fucked up stereo? You're just hearing the vocals. That's it. And if you know that song from that worst case scenario, I always call it the worst case scenario, bad listening experience, horrible situation, mono, broken speakers. That's normally what your people are listening to. Or they're putting their headphones on their phones and they're broken, or they're maxed, or they've pushed the EQ button in and it's like a smiley EQ where there's no vocal because there's no mid-range. You have to assume that that's how people are listening.
Yeah.
So your vocal has to come out of that. You got to hear those. That's why I make my singers all have to enunciate very, very much. Like, I make sure I'm not into this mumble bullshit. I just don't like it, you know? Like, people send me demos. They're like, what do you think? I said, well, I would really like it if I understood any of it.
Yeah.
You know, like, what do you, like, just because you looked at the lyric sheet and you know it doesn't mean I know it. Like, that's the biggest mistake so many young producers make. They'll go on all these YouTube videos and watch how EQ the snare drum and EQ this, you do that, what guitar string, what cables to use. But nobody will talk to them about the main event. You know, how do you get a singer to convey their feelings and emotion through a microphone, into a compressor, into a computer, to the big wide public out there? That's not easy. It's like acting almost. How do you get an actor to look into a camera? What's different between one actor and another when they look into a camera? How come this one connects and that one doesn't? You know, you have to have a feel. I found that the more I got better at this, the more emotional I get doing this stuff. So I cry a lot doing this stuff. Actually, I tear up when I hear something that moves me. I'll actually kind of start to kind of get welled up inside, and I know when it's right because I'm feeling that feeling, like something's.
I'm with you, dude. I cry to songs I put on repeat. I'm always looking for a song that puts me under a spell, and I have to put it on repeat, and it's not often. It's rare. So when I find a song where I'm obsessed and I keep putting it on repeat, I'll cry like a motherfucker. I cry at anything though. I cried at Hangover 4. You know what I mean? Do you remember when Zach Galifianakis, they find Heather Graham, right? They find Heather Graham, and this was like Hangover 4. In Hangover 1, Heather Graham had a little baby. Remember, she had the little baby. Remember, and Zach Galifianakis had like the little baby backpack thing. But by Hangover 4, that kid's like 5, right? So it's packed. It's Hangover 4. It's packed. There was only 2 seats left. Me and my wife showed up. We're in the front. And my wife thinks I'm a big pussy because I always cry during movies. Anytime there's like like a son and a father and son moment, I always start crying. I cry myself out of parking tickets. You know what I mean? I'm a big pussy. So we're front row at Hangover 4. The first day it gets released, we got there late, and I'm looking up. And that one scene where they went to Heather Graham's apartment, they knock on her door, and it's like Bradley Cooper and like Zach Galifianakis. They open the door, and Bradley Cooper's talking to Heather Graham, we need your help, bah, 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 or something. And then the little boy walks, and then the camera pans down, and then the little boy, and then comes up, and then Zach Galifianakis gets on his knees, and he goes, hey, remember me? And the little kid goes, are you my daddy? And right there, dude, tears just fucking started coming down my eyes, dude. That was Hangover 4, dude. I'm such a pussy. Yeah. But I didn't want to wipe the tears off because then my wife would see me wiping them off. So I just let them air dry, dog, because I didn't want my wife to see that I was crying.
I'm the same way. I don't let my wife see it either.
Songs make me cry all the fucking time. Songs. Like,
yeah.
If I put them on repeat, I put the song on repeat, like maybe I think it was like 8 months ago. It broke the record for my repeat. I put it on repeat for a fucking week because
what song?
Are you familiar with a band called White Lies?
Kind of, not really, but
they're a UK band that very Depeche Mode, very The Cure. They're called White Lies. There's a song called Bigger Than Us. That's the record for Tears, repeat. And every time I put it on repeat, when the chorus hit, boom. I don't know what it was, but it's
good title.
Bigger Than Us.
Good title. Yeah.
Man, yeah. Dude, that one, fuck. That one fucked me up. Even to this day, even like a couple weeks ago, I put it on, still cried. You took the tunnel road home. You've never taken that way with me before. Did you feel the need for change? Apologies on your fingernails. Love flickered in the city of lights, like intermittent radio waves. I don't need your I don't know what it is about. Look, I had to go in there and learn the chords and shit. Like, what the fuck is going on with it? Why is it? Oh, it's fuck. Like, look at these chords. It's always the same chord. It's always the same thing. It's always A minor to C to fucking F suspended. You know, it's always the same fucking chords. Yeah, it's a G. How are you going to E minor to D sustain, then C, then G? How many times are you going to do? It's like once you figure out like, damn, all the chord progressions have been done. It's just like all the drum beats have been done. You're not making up a new fucking drum beat unless you're playing like Tool. Then you're making up a new drum beat. But if you're doing like pop songs, rock songs, you're not making any new drum beats up. They've all been done. Which one are you going to use is the question. What I think is probably the best knee slice in the game. It's called a row drag. Super simple, awesome combo. Before we get to the truck, throw a little pass on top of that. You know what I mean? So we're going to get really good at that truck transition. How about you get really ninja with the row drag? The knee slice. Push him down, butterfly, boom, bam, boom. Here. Here, here, and then the fishnet, knee to the stomach, low the handle, break the frames, and then boom. Pull this out, grab my forearm, pop, pop. That's all the best shit from Twister Side Control right there in one throw. You guys want to go back and forth a little bit? Ready? Let's go. Same thing with chord progressions. Which chord progression you're gonna use? They all been done before. How many times you gonna go to A to C? You think you created A minor to C? That's been wild horses. It's been done a million times. Like, how are you gonna do it? Well, how are you gonna sing over it? And what's the rhythm gonna be? What's the BPM gonna be? So, that's the one thing you learn, right? You learn like, oh shit, all the chord progressions has been done before. You're trying to reinvent the wheel. Everyone's trying, I want to be original. I want to be the most original. I'm like, listen, you're not being original. It's already been done a million times. You just got to do it your way. You got to remix it into your story, right?
Well, that's why Bob Dylan, it's a great quote that I always tell my artists, 3 chords and the truth.
There you go. There you go. And
It's
those
the
3
truth.
chords,
That's the hard part.
Yes, B minor to fucking A to C. Like, what is it going to be? You know, it's all about accepting that all the chord progressions have been done. All the bass progressions have been done. How are you going to layer it? How are you going to sing over it? What are the words you're going to put on it? Where are you going to start singing? Before the one, on the one, after the one? How are you going to do it? It's really like everyone's just remixing shit at the high level. Right.
That's why I always like Max Martin's writing. Max is really good at chord changes, key changes in the choruses. Like he'll, like I've worked on a few songs with him where he'll go from like A minor and all of a sudden you'll be like in D flat and you're like, how the fuck did he get there? You know, and you realize that he's able to take melodies. Like if you're going to like from A minor to say D flat minor, your E is the common tone. So you can sit, if you do that, you just have to know melody in your head. Where is the common tone going to be? So if you're singing, you can switch keys and still hold that note and it's in the same, you still have that note in that new chord. Yeah. So he's really good at that. He did that with Kelly Clarkson. He's done that with so many artists. And at first when you hear it, it bends your ear a little bit. And you go, what the hell? But then you get used to it and it becomes a bigger hook. Because now it's something that you haven't heard before, yet familiar enough. So that's why he's the greatest songwriter of our generation, I think, you know. So, you know.
Off the top of your head, describe the moment you've had in a studio where you heard a hook from a band you were producing and you were like, that's fucking it. And you knew it and it did work. And
it happened a bunch of times. Oh, it did work? Yeah, a bunch of times.
And Never Too Late, 3 Days Grace. Do you remember first hearing that?
I would think that was one of them, but that was in the midst of a lot of other stuff we were doing. When I find it like a new artist, a lot of times, I think with My Chemical Romance, I just remember nobody knew who they were. And that was a bigger challenge because 3 Days Grace was coming off of a big hit already. So I just was working with more, you know, I had a full deck at that point. With My Chemical Romance, I didn't have any deck. Like there was nobody who knew who they were and there wasn't anything to work with. But there was a lyric to work with. And the lyric was, I'm not okay. And that was it. And I remember that was something the A&R person, which is why it's good to have a good A&R guy, Craig Aronson. had said to me, he had listened all the way through to this cassette tape, and I guess somewhere on the cassette tape was the Gerard scatting out, "I'm not okay, I'm not okay, I'm really not okay." And I remember thinking when I met the band, that guy there was something about him. He was the perfect face of the disaffected, disenfranchised kid at that point in time, the MySpace time, 2005. There was a bit of androgynous to him, and he's singing a lyric, and I thought, okay, this lyric, I'm not okay, and him singing it, that's the whole project right there. That's the whole thing. Like if we can get that right, everything spills out from there. So that was like one of the first few songs we worked on was that, and kudos to the band. They went back to the Oakwood over and over again and kept writing that song. And we found that was our first single, and that, boom, from there, it was like lights out after that, I think that also happened with, it was different with POD because we were I had done their first album, but I remember with Sonny, we were walking down the street in Santee, and we were doing the second album, and we didn't really have an idea of what it was going to be about. A school shooting happened that day in Santee, and we were walking down, and Sonny said, "We want to write a song called Youth of the Nation." And we had the chorus, but we didn't have the opening line. And I wasn't sure about that chorus because I thought, you know what, we are the youth of the nation can be construed as being preachy, which will make it not work, right? Because who are these guys to say that, right? Yeah. But the opening line of the song, Sonny goes, "What do you think of this?"
Last day of the rest of my life, I wish I would have known, cause I didn't kiss my mama goodbye. I didn't tell her that I loved her, how much I cared. I thank my pops for all the talks and all the wisdom he shared. Unaware, I just did what I always do. Every day the same routine before I skate off to school. But who knew that this day wasn't like the rest? Instead of taking the test, I took 2 to the chest. Call me blind, but I didn't see it coming. Everybody was running, but I couldn't hear nothing except gun blast. It happened so fast, I didn't really know this kid, though I survived in class. Maybe this kid was reaching out for love, or maybe for a moment he forgot who he was, or maybe this kid just wanted to be hugged. Whatever it was, I know it's because we are the youth of the nation. We are youth of the nation. We are the youth of the nation. We are youth of the nation. Little Susie, she was only 12. She was given the world with every chance to excel. Hang with the boys and hear the stories they tell. She might act kind of proud but no respect for herself. She finds love in all the wrong places. The same situations, just different faces. Changed up her pace since her daddy left her. Too bad he never told her she deserved much better. Johnny boy always played the fool. He broke all the rules so you would think he was cool. He was never really one of the guys. No matter how hard he tried, up the thought of suicide. It's kind of hard when you ain't got no friends. He put his life to an end, they might remember him then. You cross the line and there's no turning back. Told the world how he felt with the sound of a gat. We are the youth of the nation. We are youth of the nation. We are the youth of the nation. We are youth of the nation. Who's to blame for the life the tragedies claim? No matter what you say, it don't take away the pain that I feel inside. I'm tired of all the lies. Don't nobody know why. It's the blind leading the blind. Guess that's the way that the story goes. Will it ever make sense? Somebody's gotta know. There's gotta be more to life than this. There's gotta be more to everything I thought exists.
We are the youth of the nation. We are youth of the nation. We are the youth of the nation.
it was the last day of the rest of my life. If I would have known, I would have kissed my mama goodbye.
Damn.
I was like, I got the fucking tears, right?
Yeah.
And I'm on the way to the 7-Eleven for a smoothie. And I was like, I called my manager. I remember I pulled away from Sonny. I called Aaliyah up, my manager. I said, if I fuck up this song, I'm an idiot, right? This is all there. Like I got the opening line of the book. I got the chorus of it. I have 180 seconds to get this right. 3 minutes. That's how I look at everything. It's a 3 minute. That's my playing field, you know? So it evolved from there. The lyrics came out of him. And he started telling a personal story about a school, being the kid in the class with the school shooter, you know, and how the school shooter evolved into becoming that kid. Nobody paid attention to him. What happened to little Susie, you know, and then at the last verse, he says, who's to say what life's the tragedy? Like he sums it up. And then Marco said something to me. We need to break down in the chorus. And somehow we thought, let's bring kids in. Let's do a kids choir. So put the kids in to sing, we are the youth of the nation. And just fucking thing just blew up, right? And it happened right after 9/11. So there was this feeling in the country of having to come together. The youth was very scared about 9/11. They didn't know what was happening, you know? And all of a sudden this band comes out from San Diego. And these guys are the real deal, POD, you know what I mean? They're right off the streets. And they're singing this song, and everyone's singing, we are the youth of the nation. He's telling a story about school shootings, and it's done with a tribal beat. And it's got this thunderous sound to it. And it, like, you know, you just realize that there's certain times in your life when you just, you see that you're going to not have to go to the audience. The audience is going to come to you. And that's the most powerful kind of thing to do, is to make the audience come to you. Most people make music where they try to go, well, here's the audience. We're going to fit into the, here's the highway. We're going to do the on-ramp. We're coming on. Much harder to build your own highway and have people come to you. And that's a couple times in my career where that's happened, where you realize that people have changed their listening habits. And POD was a band with melody. Remember, that was a rap band that had melodic qualities to it, where before that, there wasn't as much melody in rap rock music. It wasn't as melodic. But that was my sensibilities. I liked I grew up listening to bubblegum music when I was a kid. I loved melody. Like I was a sucker for Philly melody, you know. In fact, I got to meet Artie Ripp, who ran Buddha Records and signed like 10 Food Company and the Ohio Express and all these bands with like 2-minute and 30-second songs with like stupid titles like Yummy, Yummy, Yummy and 1, 2, 3 Red Light. And these like seriously melodies that are like major chord melodies. You know what I mean? Yeah. And everything's 1, 4, 5 progressions. So, suckered in by Mamas and the Papas and all the vocal production that was going in, the Beach Boys and all the harmonies and things like that. So when I kind of collided with rap rock, all of a sudden I'm bringing my melodic sensibilities to something that was not melodic. And I would encourage the bands, hey, put Papa Roach, hey, put some melody into this stuff. Like Scars and their third album I did is more melodic, you know? Yeah. I wasn't scared of it at the time. I liked the melody stuff. I wasn't like I'm not the person in the band who is the coming up with the direction and the vector, but I'm opening the door and saying, yeah, you want to be melodic? It's good. Because a lot of guys weren't good with that back then. A lot of producers would say, nah, it's too melodic. It's cheesy. But I wasn't like that. I kind of I thought we had enough non-cheesy shit on there that it wouldn't be cheesy. If you can write a live melody, I feel so alive, right? That's not going to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
People are not going to come screaming at the gates and go, what the fuck? So, but that's all you need is that, like you didn't need the rest of it to do that. You just needed it to happen in the chorus, Yeah. So those are, I don't know, man. There was a point in my life. I'm not sure I'm there anymore, but I was seeing things super clearly at that point. Like I think from 2000 to 2012, we made almost 100 albums, and we were doing 10 albums a year, just like crazy. Like we were just in the studio. We never stopped working. And I don't know, there was a moment where, and I think every producer and people who are in athletes and all that, like I watch, Aaron Rodgers and great quarterbacks, and there's a limit you have. Do you know what I mean? Like you you have this time where you're going to be really strong at something, but you have to accept that those times are going to end, and there's going to be a beginning to it. And you know, like that's just the arc of most people's careers. It's like that, you know. So,
but as
that's why I like to mentor.
A music producer can go on forever. You can go on forever. You know what I mean? Because you're
I
behind
can,
the scenes.
but I learned something though from Clive Davis, from working with Clive. You need to surround yourself with young people. So this record label, Judge and Jury, the average age of everybody but me and Neil is like in their 20s. And they're bringing new ideas to us and new ways of looking at things. And we can be what I'm really good at now, which is sort of the wisdom part, you know? Like the wisdom part has not changed in hundreds of years. Like, what makes this good? What direction, you know, how do we all get along as a company? What is, you know, the bigger picture of things? And I like that. I actually quite like that. I didn't like that back then, but I like it now. So like when the label will call me up and go, well, you know, we're a little confused about what blah, blah, blah. And I always say, listen, guys, it's all about the music. Don't get confused. Keep your eye on the ball. It's all about the music. If the music isn't good, the record company is going to suck. Just the rest of it falls into place. If you have good songs, it's much easier to run a record company. But if you're running a record company with bad songs, good luck.
Yeah, hair metal could have lasted longer, but the music sucked. Like the hair metal that was coming out late 80s, like it was horrible. It was like
Eddie, I'm going to give you another statistic you're going to like. Okay. What else happened in 1991? One other thing happened.
Besides Nirvana?
There was another event in the music business that most people don't even remember. But if you talk to the people like in the companies, they all remember this. SoundScan came along.
What's that?
There was no SoundScan before then. Now, SoundScan was a way to measure actual sales, not fake sales, actual sales. Now, up to 1991, you could go to Tower Records, and if you put out the Eddie Bravo record and you had a lot of money, you could go to Tower, to the guy at the front desk and go, all right, I'm going to give you 500 Eddie Bravo records, and you're going to write down that you sold them. Now, here's a check for 50 grand. And they wrote down that they sold them because there was nobody checking it. All you needed to do was ship them. You didn't need to sell them. So the numbers in Billboard were shipped records, not sold records. Big difference, right? Yeah. So there was no way to measure the sales. SoundScan comes out with this way of measuring it with, you know, the things that the barcodes. Yeah. So now they're measuring, and I remember this. It was December or January. We're looking at the chart, and it's the first week of SoundScan. I was working somewhere at the time. I forget where it was, or I wasn't. I'm not sure what label I was at, but I think I was in Ron Oberman's office over at Columbia. And he opens up Billboard Top 200, and he doesn't recognize any of the artists at the top 10. You know who they are? Garth Brooks. Who the fuck's Garth Brooks? You know, like the second artist was like Nirvana. Who the fuck are these guys? You know what was at the bottom of the list? Winger, Warrant. They weren't selling records, but we all thought they were selling records. And all of a sudden, and you know what happened? It was funny. The record business all collectively went, we liked it better when we were lying. You know, like because they were so used to being able to work the system, they couldn't pay for it anymore. Now it was fake. So that was also the demise of things, is that you could see that country music, nobody paid any attention to country music at all. But this guy, Garth Brooks, who nobody ever heard of, you know, was selling a ton of records. So that was also another thing that contributed to this downfall of hair metal, because there was a time when we weren't selling any hair metal, but we thought we were telling people we were. Yeah. They were at the top of the charts because we shipped all these records. We shipped 1 million Winger records, you know?
So you were at the end, like you did Pretty Boy Floyd, that failed 100%. But Tango had juice and had some fire for that first album.
But I did make their second album.
And then at that point, now you're in the early 90s. Are you kind of worried about your career? And
totally worried.
And then take me to that first big hit that blew everything up.
That was, believe it or not, 8 years.
8 years of struggling and worrying.
Oh, yeah. That's why when I had my first hit, my first big hit, I think I was appreciative, blessed. I did not take it for granted. You know what I mean? Like,
what was that? What band was that?
POD.
That was the first one.
Yeah, the Fundamental Elements Tablet was the first POD record. Then after that, I immediately got Cold. That went gold.
Gone Away, great song by Cold. God damn it.
Oh,
Gone
what a
Away.
great.
That should have been fucking huge, man. That bridge with the
Oh
lead,
my God.
the vocal mount. That's
I
on my
love that
all-time
band.
playlist. That song right there, Gone Away, all-time playlist.
Such a great song.
I love
Yeah.
Do you pray in the night? Can you appreciate the wind? And I won't care, I won't fight. I need you close to sing, it's the same beginning. Gone away, it's the same old song. Gone away, lives my whole life in words. I can't breathe when you cry, but I'll be there to hold you tight. And I would kill, I would fight to keep you close. I'll keep singing the same way. I won't live if you died. If I can feel you in the wind, this is me, it's my life. I need you close to sing, it's the same beginning. Gone away, it's the same old song. Gone away, lives my whole life in words. Gone away, it's the same old song. Gone away, lives my whole life.
So then I did that, and then I did the next POD. Then I did, all of a sudden, Hoobastank comes along. That's massive.
Oh, so
And
now
then all
you're
my-
huge. POD was the
Huge.
first one, blows you up. You're doing Hoobastank. You did Edema too, right?
I did Edema. These all happened so fast. And I got to tell you, when I got my first gold record, I remember all of a sudden I was in a club I was never in. You know, it took me 15 years from when I quit my aerospace job to get this gold record. And I got a check a royalty check. I'd never even fucking got a royalty check before, right?
And you were like,
I
what the
couldn't
fuck, 30K?
I didn't, it was way more than that, right? Yeah, I'm not kidding. And I brought it up to my wife. You know, I opened the mail and I bring it to my wife and I showed her the royalty check and I said, there's a new sheriff in town, right? and she goes, fuck you, do the garbage, right?
Oh, yeah.
She didn't care.
Wash the dishes.
Wash the dishes. But, you know, and then it was weird because I went from like having to make all these phone calls to get work to holding on for dear life. Like all of a sudden my career, it happened so fast and I had to put together a team of guys and it didn't, there was a time there where I felt like everything I produced went platinum. Flyleaf, 3 Days Grace, Daughtry, Skillet, Kelly, My Chemical Romance, the POD records, Theory of a Dead Man. I mean, it just kept.
Dude, the song Again by Flyleaf on my all-time playlist. That song Again, the chorus, oh man, I fucking love it.
Here I get down on my knees again.
Oh my God, that is a
You gotta
perfect
love the
song.
double meaning of
That's
that
a
record.
perfect, that's a perfect song. That's on my all-time playlist.
Perfect song.
Yeah.
You see why I like that lyric? Here I am down on my knees again.
Yeah,
Okay, sung from the perspective of a spiritual artist.
yeah.
You see what I mean? Like, so you have caught both audiences at once right there. You got the secular and the not secular audience with one lyric.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what's going through your head all this time. I remember when I did Move Along with the All American Rejects. I remember
Great
thinking,
song. Great.
what a
song.
great. Oh yeah, and
I remember where I first
know.
heard that song. That song was I was at Universal, you know where Universal City is, and where,
yeah.
where the food court. I was in the food court, and they had that big screen where they're playing music videos, and Move Along came on. I'm like, what? Like I mean, it's so poppy, but it's so good.
Go ahead as you waste your days with thinking. When you're full, everyone stands. Another day and you've had your fill of sinking. With the life held in your hands are shaking cold. These hands are meant to hold. Think to think. When all you gotta keep is strong. Move along like I know you do. And even when your hope is gone, move along just to make it through. Move along. So a day when you've lost yourself completely could be a night when your life ends. Such a heart that will lead you to deceiving. All the pain held in your hands are shaking cold. Your hands are mine to hold. Speak to me when all you gotta keep is strong. Move along like I know you do. And even when your hope is gone, move along just to make it through. Move along. When everything is wrong, we move along. When everything is wrong, we move When all you gotta keep is strong, move along like I know you do. And even when your hope is gone, move along just to make it through. When all you gotta keep is strong, move along like I know you do. And even when your hope is gone, move along just to make it through. When all you gotta keep is strong, move along like I know you do. And even when your hope is gone, move along just to make it through. Right back what is wrong, we move along. Right back what is wrong, we move along. Right back what is wrong, we move along.
Such a great song.
So
You did that.
yeah,
Damn.
yeah, that's got the kids choir in the bridge. If you listen, I stole from myself after a while. I was like, "Needs a kids choir. Let's get the same kids." You
Such
know?
a good song. That's such a good song. It's so poppy and so lightweight, but so good.
But you know, the intervening years between hair metal and the first record were full of some great moments for me because I got to produce 4 Motorhead records, and I worked with the greatest rock star of all, Lemmy.
Yeah.
You know, and I learned to deal with that.
What was that like? Wasn't he, with all due respect, he was a drug addict, right? Like he was out of control, right?
So out of control, and nobody else would produce him. And I needed the money, So I'm like, I'll do it, So,
it was before or after Ace of Spades? After, right?
After.
Okay.
But I made the record that got into Airheads. So that was our big success because that song Born to Raise Hell was in Airheads with
That's a good song. Damn.
Good song.
Okay. Yeah.
That was my first Motorhead record. It ended up in the hospital because I stayed up for like 72 straight hours. Lemmy wouldn't go to sleep. Lemmy's diet was basically speed, potato chips, and Jack Daniels. That was it.
Whoa.
And we got thrown out of A&M studios. I can't even tell you the band would quit every other day. The guitar player tried to join the Chili Peppers in the middle of the project. And everything was chaos. But that's how you learn as a producer. And in the middle of that, I produced Ice-T and Body Count. I did a Body Count record. Damn. So I'm in there with hardcore guys with guns and fucking I'm the only white guy in the studio, and I'm learning how it's some of those words, like in Youth of the Nation, Sonny goes, told the world how he felt with the sound of and I said, Gat. I learned Gat from Ice-T, right? I didn't know what a Gat was, So I was like, Gat, but those are the things that kind of come into your life. And Ice-T was so much fun to work with because he was he could write lyrics right on the back of a piece of paper.
Yeah.
On the spot, Yeah. And the band was, we had 2 deaths during the project. The drummer died and the bass player got shot. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. The drummer died of leukemia and the bass player died in a shooting.
Oh my
so
God.
I'm at funerals in South Central during the making of this record.
What?
Yeah.
That's right there. That's a movie in itself. Or if they did a movie on you, the opening scene, you're at the funeral. You know what I mean? That's the opening scene.
And Vic and the drummer's laid out open casket. Ice is up on the stage, right? Pointing down at the drummer, giving his eulogy. And we're finally past the drummer and he's got sprayed gold drumsticks like this, right?
Oh, shit.
And my engineer, Bobby, that's how Ice-T got to like me, because for the first few days in the studio, he really wouldn't talk to me. Because I was assigned to this project by Virgin Records. Nobody else wanted to produce this band. And I was like, I need the money, So I ended up there. So Ice wouldn't talk to me for a while. And then Bobby, the engineer, he was also African-American. He goes to Ice, listen, I think Howard's cool. I think he's cool. So I started talking to me and then I got frenzied with all the band. And I had such a great time making that record. It was so full of it. That whole record's a story. I can't even tell the stories, right? But the story of walking past the casket, my engineer he has something in his hand, right? And we're walking past it, and I hear him go like this. So he drops something into the casket with Vic, the drummer who's dead, right? And I said to Bobby, what'd you drop into the casket? And he goes, a metronome. I said, why'd you drop a metronome into Vic's casket? And he goes, because, Vic could never play in time. So what if he meets Jimi Hendrix up there? Or Jim Morrison, or Janis Joplin? He's got to play in time. So here's a metronome. And I was like, you want to laugh your ass off at stories. You know what I mean? Like you're in a funeral line, right? And I was like.
What were you thinking during the recording or when you got introduced to Cop Killer?
I didn't do that. I did the record after that.
Okay.
The album after that. No, believe me, I didn't want to do that record because there was such nobody should work with this guy. And one of the things I've always believed in my career, beyond just the jokes and all that, is artists this is the expression of freedom of speech. There are certain things I won't do, but it's got to be something that really personally, I think is beyond what I can stand in the studio. Like a lot of stuff Motorhead did was sort of crazy stuff, But there's also the argument that, this is why art moves the needle. Do you know what I mean? It moves society.
Yeah.
Because some shit's uncomfortable.
Ozzy was a genius, but with the drugs and all that, a mess. You know what I mean?
A mess.
And look what he did. You know, look what he left. Look at the legacy he left. And that guy was out of control. I remember the day he died, I'm driving to go teach a class. I'm driving and listening to a podcast, and they're talking about Bert Kreischer. You know the comedian Bert Kreischer?
Yeah.
He's known for being like, part of his persona is like he's a drunk. He takes his shirt off. He's got a big beer belly. He's a party animal, and he drinks a lot, and he's out of control. And these guys in the podcast were talking about, like, how is he still alive? He parties so much. When is he going to die? And I was driving going, as long as Ozzy's still alive, Bert Kreischer is fine. And then I get home and my wife texts me, Ozzy's dead. I'm like, whoa, holy shit. That was a synchronicity. That was another one right there. I was like, holy.
Well, that was a very, I mean, my wife's been watching that thing on Netflix about Ozzy.
I didn't know they already got a doc on him, huh?
They already got a doc about it. She said it's amazing. It's so emotional. Like it interviews her. I think they followed him all the way up to the time of death in this documentary.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's
the Ozzy story is like, what? Like,
what? That's good.
The timeline with him getting fired by Black Sabbath because they were all doing coke, but he was doing so much that they had to fire him. And then he thinks like he's in LA and he's like suicidal. And then Dana Strum finds Randy Rhoads. He auditions for him. He finds new life. Randy Rhoads is like like him and Eddie Van Halen are the greatest guitarists in the world. The first two Ozzy albums, I mean, fucking Blizzard of Oz and Diary of Madman. Those are the two top 10 greatest rock albums of all time. I mean, and then he dies in a plane crash. And then all that shit, you know, they get Brad Gillis from Night Ranger for a second. Brad Gillis don't want to do it because Ozzy's treating him like shit. Then they find they're thinking about George Lynch, but his hair was too short. So then they found Jakey Lee. Jakey Lee's got hair down his waist. Jakey Lee takes over, Bark at the Moon, and then that shit don't work out. And then like Zakk Wylde comes in. I fucking love Zakk Wylde. The whole timeline, the whole Ozzy timeline is fucking that.
Well, the Motorhead, you know, he collided with Lemmy in the Mama I'm Coming Home thing. Because like when I was working with Lemmy, I remember on the second album, Lemmy goes, yeah, I got this song, Mama I'm Coming Home. And I said, great, let's record it. He goes, I sold it. I said, to who? He goes, Sharon Osbourne.
No fucking way. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. He sold it for $25,000.
What?
Yeah.
He wrote the song?
You know, yeah, because he wanted to buy, okay, this is Lemmy's passion, was buying World War II collectibles. Remember back, you buy those things, you get those things in the mail, and it was tons of stuff, and you just buy swords and guns and catalogs of this kind of shit. So he loved World War II things. So his whole apartment on Norton in Hollywood, it was like down the street from the where he got all his beer and wine and all that, was full of this shit. Like you walked in there and it was like, I'm not kidding, Hitler placemats on the, I'm Jewish. So I was like, I'm going to stay out of the kitchen, I think, here. You're going to get anywhere. But Lemmy was he wasn't like that, but he liked, he grew up, remember, he was older. So he grew up during the World War II blitzes and he remembers all that stuff. So he kind of bought a lot of that stuff, but then he ran out of money because he never recouped ever. He's the most, I used to tease him. I would say, you're the most unrecouped artist in history. Like you literally have made records for every single record company there is, and you've never sold any of them. Like you've had one big hit, Ace of Spades. That's it. The rest of it is just Lemmy, So,
So he was like, he didn't have that much money.
He didn't. He lived in an apartment. I'm telling you, 1-bedroom apartment. First day I walked in there, there's a whole
in Hollywood.
In Hollywood,
he was always
right
at the Rainbow, right? He was always at the Rainbow. Yeah.
2 streets down, there's a street called Norton.
Okay.
That's where his apartment was on. And it's just in a nondescript apartment building upstairs. He must have lived there for 20 years or something. And you walk in, there's a coffee table. There's 2 beautiful girls attending to him with big fake boobs. And there's a stack of Jugs magazines on his,
he loved
his
tits,
thing.
huh?
He loved to, yeah. And he had to have, he had to be attended by. And we just sat down, and the first thing he goes like, my first day I met him, he's like, if it doesn't work out, I'll have to kill you. And I said, okay, it'll work out. Like, like his attitude was so rock and roll.
Yeah.
And so you got in the studio with him, you had to wear airplane ear. It was so fucking loud that I had to wear airplane things you wear on the tarmac.
So how
to
did he get
through the
that bass
project.
sound? How did he would just
It was
turn
all
his
through,
amps up and just a bunch of
it's-
mics?
It was all through regular amps. He didn't use bass amps. If
He
you look
didn't
at
go
his
direct.
amps,
He never went direct.
oh, he went straight into the amp. Straight into the amp. Yeah. One amp was called Murder, one was called Killer. Those are the two amps.
He had a killer bass sound. He did with that Ricky.
It was
Rocker.
guitar because he strummed everything. If you watch him, he played chords. That's how he liked to play. He wanted to be the guitar player, to be honest.
But no one
And he
else
just-
wanted to play bass.
Nobody wanted to play bass. But when when we would go to mastering, at least on the 4 albums I did, we had to take all the bass out, turn the bass off. He wanted to hear just mid range.
Yeah.
That's what he liked, was like mids.
Did he ever sit down with an acoustic guitar and do versions like acoustic low level versions? No, that would
No. He would just get up and sing. His harmony was unbelievably good. He would sing.
He sang harmonies.
He was everything.
I don't
was him.
remember any. I can't visualize
Okay.
him singing harmony.
Go to the album I did, Bastards. The first song is called "On Your Feet or On Your Knees." He sings. It's in like E flat or something. So he's singing, like I think he's singing the B flat. And what's it on the TV news? And then the harmony is the A flat. So he's at one step below, not a third or a fourth, a second.
I was looking at the TV news. People everywhere blowing the fuse. People everywhere under the gun. Little kids dying of a head number. Human beings ain't got no brains. Think you're better but you're all the same. Think you're clever but you're all to blame. Here we are again in the same old frame. Shut up, I'm talking to you. It's on television so it can't be true.
And it sounds like somebody's hitting 2 car notes, like a horn on your thing. It's the coolest harmony I ever heard. And I was like, you're not doing that on purpose, right? He goes, fuck you. I know what the fuck I'm doing. Like everything was like that. You fucking cunt. Howard, you're a fucking cunt. Right? Everything was like that. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But you got used to it after a while. They would just call each other cunts. That's what they just did. It was English. They're English guys. You know what I mean? So that was their kind of talking. It was a constant barrage of grievances from like past. I didn't even know what they were arguing about, half the time. And in the middle of that, I did Body Count. So when I came along to POD, I was a pretty seasoned guy. Do you know what I mean? Like I had worked on hair bands and Motorhead and Ice-T. I'd worked with Keith Olsen. He was a good mentor to me.
You did some serious strength and conditioning.
That's exactly right.
That's like dragging logs up a hill, like for a fighter, doing like crazy shit like that, like pulling trucks. Damn, you were ready for POD.
I was ready. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I was complete. It was the 10,000 hours, they say, or whatever.
Dues.
I paid the dues. When they came along, there was not much I hadn't seen already. Do you know what I mean, Eddie? Like I'd seen it all. Like I'd been in the studio with guys with guns and knives and swords and craziness. And we got thrown out of A&M because Lemmy got mad at Mickey one day and took a hamburger and squashed it into the brand new Neve because he really didn't like the fact that Mickey was playing without him.
Yeah.
So of course the studio manager comes in and goes, "You're out of here." So you're thrown out of there. So we had to go to some studio that would take us, which was basically Amigo Studios in the depths of the valley in North Hollywood. They let us go. They let us stay.
So now you paid your dues. You hit POD. They blow up. Shit starts rolling. Like what? Take me through like when the big checks were coming in. Like damn. Like were you just buying like Rolls Royces and shit? What was going on? Did you buy like a big ass house?
No, it took me a while to buy a decent house, and I didn't think about things like that. In fact, it took my bands to tell me that I wasn't thinking about it. So POD, finally in the studio one day, I rolled up in my Isuzu Trooper, and POD says to me, they come out and they kind of seriously look at me and they go, "Look, you can't be our producer in that ride. You just can't. You got to get rid of that ride." I said, "Well, I don't even know what to buy. Like I just wasn't into that stuff, right?"
Yeah.
So I went out and bought an Audi S8, which was really fun to drive. And then I was doing Hoobastank, and I already had a lot of hits, and I was just living in a moderate house in Calabasas, and the manager comes up and goes, "Listen, man, you're producing huge hits. What are you doing living in this house?" And I was like, okay. Like, and then I went to the Oaks and bought a house in the Oaks, so it wasn't me thinking about things like that, and I still live kind of moderately. I sort of, the difference between, I think, me and some of the other producers, I never thought that my persona, I wasn't interested in that. I was interested in just making great music. That was it. Like, to me, I come from a working class background in Philadelphia. So I looked at it as my job I wasn't being paid to be in the studio. I was being paid to make hit records. Yeah. So like, I looked at it like, if I didn't make a hit record, I wasn't doing my job. So a lot of people think that, well, we got in the studio, made this great piece of art. Isn't it great? And I would say to the artist, I'm not into it. If you want somebody just to make art, go get somebody else. Yeah. I'm making hits. Yeah. That's what I want to do. And the more hits I had, the more I could live on that, because the more bands would come to me for hits. So I was sort of able to build on that brand. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to do, bands really want to have hits. They say they don't sometimes, but they really do. Yeah. So, I just kind of lived on that kind of reputation. A lot of artists would come to me and go, well, we want to make this kind of record, but we want you to come to like Sioux Falls, and we're going to decamp there, and we're going to make the record there. And I was like, you know what, go find another producer. Like, it's fine for me. I'll come to me. You're coming to me because you want to win the Super Bowl. Yeah. That's what I want to do. I want to win the Super Bowl. So I don't care about the rest of that stuff. And I think that served me pretty well. And I learned, I think it's because I had no hits for so long that I so appreciate the value of a hit record. I know what it can do to an artist's life. It changes their lives. Like, look at 3 Days Grace. Like, they have great lives because they write hit songs, They're not like living shitty lives. They've got decent lives, But the bands that don't write hits, they're hammering it out on the road. It's tough life. Yeah. I have a lot of empathy for my artists. I think even the bands that are huge have hard lives. Let me tell you something. 3 Days Grace, they live good lives, but on the road, I wouldn't want to do that. That's a hard life, man. Being out there every day through hotel room after hotel room, it becomes a blur to you. Yeah. So
music producer, there's so many levels to it. It's so broad. There's some music producers. I produced the record, they just paid for it. Or some music producers, they wrote the lyrics and composed the song. Yeah. And then some like Rick Rubin really he's not really hands-on with any of the engineering. He's more like, okay, I like that vibe, and let's all meditate.
Totally different. Yeah.
There's so many different producers, and so take me through what your specialty is. Your specialty is, when you bring a band in, do they know that? Do you have like veto power on vocal melodies and vocal hooks? And when you suggest something, do they kind of have? How does that work? How do these hits happen?
I think that they come to you, and this is set up before they walk in the studio. And that's important to say, because if they come to you and you spring it on them that you all of a sudden are going to change all their stuff, then they don't like that. But if you say to them, and this is, I'm going back to like 2008 or something, okay, I am going to make suggestions about your songwriting and about stuff. But here's the trick. I would never ask for any songwriting or publishing. And I said that to them up front. I said to them, I'm not going to get involved in your songwriting or your publishing. I'm not going to be listed as a writer. And that enabled them to actually take my suggestions. Because one of the things that a lot of producers fucked up, and by the way, Rick did not fuck this up, and Rob Cavallo didn't fuck this up, and I didn't fuck this up. If you start getting involved in the songwriting, artists will start thinking to themselves, well, I don't want to listen to this because I want it to be me as the songwriter. So I'm going to ignore this great suggestion that Howard just made because he's going to get 20% of my publishing. Take that out of the equation. All of a sudden, they're listening to you, because they know you're not getting involved in their publishing. Consequently, they're not getting involved in your production. So it's like a quid pro quo in the studio.
Yeah.
I'm the producer, you're the songwriter. You're going to make producer suggestions? Have at it. I'm going to make songwriting suggestions. Have at it. But we still retain the same credit. I'm still the producer, you're still the band with the songwriting. So a lot of times there's a lot of songwriting things that are going on in these records that I'm not listed as a songwriter on, but we got it done because they didn't feel threatened by me. They didn't feel that my name was going to appear as songwriter, band, Howard Benson.
And they probably think that, you want your suggestions to be greenlit because you want the money. So they don't have to worry about that. Yeah, because they think he's only suggesting that shit. He's only behind that shit because he wants to get paid. But if you say, I don't want to get paid, then they know it's like coming from your heart.
That's exactly right. That's a big deal. And a lot of producers, the big producers, the guys who were really successful back then, did not take publishing. But the ones who were taking publishing, who were trying to snorate on the writing and all that stuff, they didn't have as much success because a lot of the artists would reject. They would just say, nah, I'm not interested. Or they'd be forced to do the songs. If there was enough leverage from the producer, then they would have to do bad songs. And that's terrible. You want to be the guy in the studio that is looking everything from a project-based worldview, not the artist, not you, not them, but what is good for the project.
Yeah.
That's how, and I always say it, this is not about you guys or me. This is about what's good for the project. So if you can keep that going, a lot of times you're like in the studio too, for vocals, for example, I'll say to the bands, look, Mike, my engineer, who you met, and Hatch, my assistant engineer, Paul is my editor. There's about 5 or 6 people. They're going to be more involved once we decide on the arrangements, which like happens in rehearsal or happens, if they send demos. Doing the tracking part of it is going to come from, I'll be in there while you track, but I'm not going to be in there while you do guitars. Like, I'm not going to watch every guitar string being tuned. Forget that. I'm just not interested in it. I am interested, though, in the lead singer coming to my house in my vocal booth with Hatch, my assistant, and hashing through the vocal melodies. That's more important to me. Looking at the lyric sheets. I mean, I've got lyric sheets right in front of me from a project we're working on right now with Butcher Babies. So we'll go through it, and a lot of times I'll say, you know what, I'm not sure what you're saying here, or I'm working on a Hoobastank record too. Like, maybe this could be clearer. What about this? What about that? But a lot of times I won't bring it up until the singer is in the vocal booth. The reason I don't do that, if I bring it up ahead of time, I'll find that the singers will stew over it. And they may start talking to other people about it and get talked out of it. It's better if I do it while they're on the mic, because then we can have an honest conversation right at that moment where it's happening right then. And I'll say, I'm just not getting what you're trying to say here. Let's try and rewrite it. And that way you get work done really fast, as opposed to saying, hey, I think you should rewrite the whole, I don't like this lyric, and then they come back to you. It really is. It depends on the amount of work that needs to be done. If I don't like the second verse, I'll say to them ahead of time, hey, give me an alternate second verse or something like that, And sometimes I'll just say, the story's not going anywhere. A lot of times it's too wordy. That's the biggest issue I have. It's just too many words. Like, if you can get away with saying things with half the words, it's so much. In other words, show me, don't tell me.
Edit
show
your
me.
Shit. Edit your shit.
Edit your shit.
That's one thing. I do stand-up comedy on the side a little bit, and Joe Rogan's.
By the way, I could see that.
Joe Rogan, he told, like, one of the advices, is that a word? One of the advices that he gave me that I'll never forget was edit your shit. Pull out the words. Pull out the words that are unnecessary. You want to make your point with the least amount of words. Yeah.
You want to make, you go back and look at all the hits I've had. Open up the Pro Tools session. There's not that many tracks. There isn't. Nowadays, because technology's evolved to the point where artists now can be their own producers, I get sessions sent to me with 300 tracks. And I'm going, what the fuck is going on here? And I'll say, you know what? Your record's going to sound this big. That's how big it's going to sound. You want it to sound bigger. Well, it's going to sound big because I put so many parts into it. And I always use this analogy to them. Okay. You ever open a score up of an orchestra score, a Mozart score? What do you think those little squiggly lines are? What are those things called? I don't know. They're called res. That's what they're called. That means don't play. That's what they're there for. That means the violinists play here, and there's 6 pages where they don't play.
Yeah.
You don't think the violinists want to play those 6 pages? Yeah, they do. But Mozart's going, I don't need you. for these 6 pages. You're going to sit there and not play for 6 pages, right?
Yeah.
And okay, here's another good, and they go, okay, I'm starting to get what you're trying to say. Okay, go buy yourself a big old house. You walk into the house the first time and you go, man, I have a big old house. Look how big it is. And then you start bringing all your furniture in and your tchotchkes and your shit, and you start putting it in the living room. And you walk in one day and you go, man, this house is small. Look how small this house is. Yeah, because you filled it full of fucking furniture. And now it looks like a tiny little house. You know, what you should have done is put the right furniture in that fits just the right way. And now you still have this big house. So music's the same way. There's only 2 speakers. I don't care about the Atmos bullshit. Forget all that. You got left and right. And I actually mix everything in mono. So I'm like mixing through one little tiny speaker right over here. These tiny little friggin' $70 speakers. Logitechs. That's what I do everything on, right?
Mono.
The worst possible.
You don't mix in stereo?
No, the first time I do the mix, I do it in mono because the arrangement comes across. Okay. It's the arrangement. Okay. What is coming in and out of the song, not what is being panned left and right. Because let me ask you something. You walk 10 feet away from 2 speakers, and what's it sound like to you? Mono.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's just assume we're listening in mono. Again, worst listening situation. Worst listening. Coming out of the speaker at the CVS. What's that? Mono.
Yeah.
What's happening when you're on the beach and you hear a boombox 10 feet away? Mono. Mono, right? So let's just assume we're in mono. But by the way, once you get it sounding good in mono, have at it. Start panning shit. Yeah, let's have fun. Let's have some good times with that shit. But that's not going to solve your arrangement issue. You know, you're going to be like, well, the guitars are playing at the same time as the vocals. I'll put, or the same time as, you know, there's like 4 guitar parts here. I'll pan them left, right, and center, and it's the 2 o'clock and 10 o'clock. That ain't solving the problem. Yeah. For you, it is sitting there in front of 60-degree angle, but that's not reality, you know? So there again is discipline. I you know how I mix? I'm talking a little louder than usual. I mix it about this level. Very low. I can have a conversation with you while we're mixing very easily. I don't mix loud at all because I don't want my eardrums compressing. My eardrums are flexible membranes. So the louder I mix, the more the membranes are going like this, and then they're pinned like that when they're really loud. So what are they acting as? Compressors. So everything sounds great, you know? So if you mix low, your eardrums are still flopping around like that, and you can hear things coming in and out. You can kind of gauge what your levels are. But a lot of people go, well, I don't feel it. I'm not excited about it. Big deal. No, most people are not going to be like that. Most people are listening through that little CVS speaker. Yeah. They're not turning that up for you at the CVS, you know? I mean, come on, you have to think about reality here, you know? That's the reality. And if you can get a song to be a hit song through that little CVS speaker, then you have done your job as a music producer. Yeah. That's your job. That's the job.
When I was a kid, I had a turntable. I was like 8 years old. I had a turntable, and I listened to my Kiss records. I only had one speaker. I had no concept of stereo. So I had one speaker. So I was used to the songs with just one side. And then when my stepdad wasn't around, he had the big Fisher stereo with the 2 speakers, the fully stereo. And I remember, like, whenever he wasn't around, if he found out I was fucking with the stereo, he would beat my ass. So I had to make sure he wasn't around. Then I put my Kiss records on there. And I remember going, fuck, with this stereo, I'm hearing some other shit. There's like, I was an 8-year-old kid going, what? There's another guitar part. And it only comes out in his stereo. But in my stereo, I only get half the guitar parts. I didn't get it. I had no concept of stereo. All I knew is that my stepdad's stereo was the shit. And other parts came out.
Well, you know what's interesting? Back in the 60s and 70s, especially Led Zeppelin and artists like that, they use stereo to their advantage. Like if you listen to old Doors records in the headphones, like the keyboards and guitars are literally hard panned to one side.
Yeah.
The drums are hard panned to the other side, and Morrison is like in the middle, right?
Van Halen.
And if you go to Van Halen, you want to know why? Go to Sunset Sound. They were both recorded there, both in the same room. And on the console, it says left, center, right. That is all you had. You didn't have a selection to do in the middle. You either picked left, center, or right. So that, you know, before they invented the pan pot. So like those guys, they thought that was amazing back then.
Yeah.
It's like, I can make it left or center or right. You know, like now we would go, oh my God, you know, I can't do that. Yeah. So you realize how it has evolved through 4-track. I mean, I would love to have been a fly on the wall watching the Beach Boys make their music or watch the Joy. I just wish I could watch the Mamas and the Papas make. I saw her, I saw her again. How did they do those harmonies? How did they bounce them? It was 2 tracks. How did they make that work? What was Jerry Wexler thinking, or Lou Adler? How did you think about this? They had to do all those arrangements for real. They didn't have any auto-tune.
Yeah.
They didn't have any of that shit. They had to actually perform it.
A lot of bouncing tracks.
Complex.
Back in the day when you had your cassette 4-track Tascam, I mean, you had to first record the drums on 3 tracks and then mix them down to 1, right? And then like, oh man,
they called it sound on sound. That's what they called it.
You had to
SOS
be
or something like that.
a master of bouncing on 4-track. And I got in a car wreck, and it wasn't my fault. And I got like $2,500, and I bought an 8-track Tascam, and that just changed my life. The 8.
Didn't know what to do with those other 4 tracks.
Cassette, I was like, I thought I was fucking Bob Ezrin. I thought I was like on top of the world, man.
But you know what? That stuff, people, you wouldn't believe how many producers I've talked to that have started on those Tascams.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know so many guys that have started
That's
on
all
those
there was.
Tascams.
I mean, what else?
That's all there was.
Yeah.
And if you went and bought a Tascam like that, it kind of showed that that's kind of what you wanted to do with your life. Because who would buy something like that?
Yeah.
Like the average person wouldn't buy something like that.
Yeah. I was, I didn't start jujitsu till I was 24. I moved to Hollywood when I was 21, but I always drove up to Hollywood because I grew up in Orange County. And when I was 16, I had a car, and 16, 17, 18, on the weekends we would drive up to the Sunset Strip. But then the dream was to finally move to Hollywood and live there and have like strippers support us and strippers bring us groceries like Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses. That was like the dream. The dream was one day we're going to move, it was only an hour away. But one day that was the dream. And I finally at 21 moved to Hollywood right there on La Brea and Hollywood Boulevard, an old building, like an old apartment.
Dude, I know exactly where you're talking about.
The old apartment building that was like built in 1812.
Yeah,
it was right there.
A girlfriend there. Yeah.
Right on Sycamore. It was on
Sycamore, yeah.
It was like, it used to be a hotel back in the 1800s or something. And me and my singer at the time moved in, and it was like a hotel, just like one room with a little kitchen and a bathroom, just one room. And we literally, I stapled a black sheet across the ceiling, and like he lived on one side, I lived on the other side. And it was $495 a month. So it was all about, I hadn't done jujitsu at all. I'm 21. I'm in Hollywood. I'm trying to make it in the music business. And then I started, training martial arts just to stay in shape so I wouldn't be a fat rock star. Yngwie Malmsteen got real fat, and it was like a big thing where, he got fat. So I'm like, I don't want to be fat playing at Detroit Tiger Stadium. I want to look good. So then I started doing martial arts. But it was always about making it in the music business, always. And the jujitsu, I just started getting obsessed with it. And then that blew up. The music never blew up, but I never stopped making music. But the jujitsu is what pays the rent.
Dude, you've done such a great career in that. I quoted you in the studio a few days ago. I was having one of my artists was acting out a little bit. I was just joking with him. I said, I'm going to quote this guy, Eddie. I said, you can either be a pussy or a nerd, but you can't be a douche. You're being a douche. I remember you said that. You said that about jujitsu.
Yeah, in jujitsu, douchebags can't handle losing a game of death. So douchebags stay away from jujitsu. The only people that stay are pussies, people that don't want to fight. So jujitsu's filled with people that can kill people surgically with their hands, but they don't want to do it. It's the last thing they want to do. They just do it because it's fun. It's weird. It's a weird thing.
Yeah, that was an interesting comment you made, though, because it makes sense to me that, if you're a douchebag, you're not going to understand enough to give up. You're going to get yourself killed, essentially.
Yeah, and when you do tap out, because jiu-jitsu is just, it's like wrestling, and you get, the object is to make someone give up. You tap out. If you're put in a chokehold, and if you don't tap out, you're going to go to sleep. Going to sleep is way worse than tapping out. So you're basically, it's a game of making your opponent give up, making them tap out. And that represents death. Like in real life, you don't acknowledge taps. You just put someone in a choke, and you just kill them. And so that's what makes it so fascinating for nerds and pussies like me who were never known as badasses ever. Everybody knew me as a pussy. So now I get to learn how to like put people to sleep. Now I could be like one of those badass dudes. So that's why jujitsu is filled with just a bunch of nerds. There's a couple douchebags that squeeze through, but generally, for the most part, most jujitsu people are the nicest people. And the last thing we want to do is get in a fight. I've been doing jujitsu now since I was 24. It's been forever, decades. I haven't gotten in any fights. One little riot started and I kind of like defended myself. But other than that, I'm not looking for fights. I'm not trying to fight nobody. You know, it's nice knowing how to defend yourself if I was ever in a situation where I needed to, but I ain't trying to do it. I do enjoy making money teaching people how to defend themselves. That's how I pay my bills. You know what I mean? That's how I just released an album and I financed it. So I'm financing my music, you know? So that's nice. I don't have to deal with any record labels or anything, you know? I like being.
Well, that's the nice thing about the way music is now. People go, oh, music sucks now because of like the internet and Spotify. I'm like, you know what? It's the best it's ever been, because now you can do what you want to do. You don't have gatekeepers anymore. Yeah,
exactly.
You know?
Like it's so different now. Like you needed the record label because if you weren't on MTV, there's no shot that you're going to be a legend. No. You have to be on MTV. That's the goal. Is your single played on MTV? Is your music video played on MTV? If it's not, you can't be a legend. It's very hard to be a legend.
It drives me crazy.
Now it's like fucking. It's so compartmentalized now. There's bands that are huge that you never even heard of, and they're fucking.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's siloed. It's very siloed, but that is a good thing because it means that you can have a career. It doesn't have to be huge. It can be, I call it like a micro stars.
Yeah.
You can be, so what, right? That you're not hurting anybody doing that kind of stuff, right? No. And what drives me nuts is when artists, I read on like Facebook a lot, Spotify this, and they don't pay enough, and there's no way to make a living. And I always go, when I find that when I get aggravated enough, I'll go like, okay, I'll tell you what, go print some CDs up, then come back to me. You couldn't even figure out how to do that, I bet.
Yeah.
You know, go ahead and make some CDs. You know how hard that is? It's really hard. You know, making the 4-color separations, buying the stuff, putting the CD in, getting the artwork right, getting the mastering right, getting it to the store, trying to sell it to the store, trying to get them to put it up front. Hey, all you have to do is upload your music to Spotify. That's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping you.
And the crazy thing is people complain like, oh, we're not getting nothing for our streams. We're being ripped off with the streams. Like, yo, that's been the story since the 60s. Everybody's getting ripped off since the 60s. The music labels are ripping everybody off. Everybody's complaining with their deals. They didn't get paid. They're rock stars. They're broke. And now it's streaming and it's still the same thing. We're broke. We're not getting paid. It's always been like that.
Always. And most of the time you find out if you dig in enough to that artist complaining, are you registered with BMI or ASCAP? What's that? Oh. Are you registered with Sound Exchange? Oh, I never heard of that. Oh, okay. Are you collecting royalties from your record label? Yeah, but they're not a lot. Well, you're not signed up right. Like you haven't done any of the basics.
Yeah.
You know, of course you're not going to get paid. Like it's not their job to find you. It's your job to get your paperwork right. And by the way, it's not easy to get the paperwork right. It's hard. Like you need to, I find it even signing up for ASCAP, because a lot of our artists, we help them sign up. We give them the paperwork. Not that easy. You got to form a company. You have to have like a DBA. You've got to go to the California. You have to show you're in business. Then you got to send it to them. You have to pick 3 names. If they think one of the names is good, then you have to fill out their paperwork. So a lot of artists just don't bother doing it. Then they wonder where their songwriting royalties are, you know? Yeah. Well, you don't have a songwriting company. How are you going to get paid?
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah.
What I found is like over the years when a band puts out an album and the album fails, the label will say, okay, we could either cut you or we're going to bring in Bob Halligan Jr. to write your next couple of singles. Like, what do you want to do? You know what I'm talking about? Like,
yeah, sure.
A label's like, we're about to cut you unless you let us bring in some songwriters. Like Desmond Child wrote, because in the beginning, Kiss, they wrote all their own shit. And then as they got, mega, they started bringing in songwriters like Desmond Child wrote I Was Made for Loving You, and then they bring in like Diane Warren. And do you have like your songwriters that you bring in?
Yes. Yeah.
Who are they?
But only if the artist wants to do it. We won't force it on them at all. Like those days are gone. Like if the artist, and we will make our decision whether we want to work with artists based on that decision that they make. Like a lot of times we'll find an artist and we'll go, you know what? They have a singular vision and all they need is a good producer or, you know, someone like myself to just massage things a little bit, but that's it. You know what I mean? Like that's my job anyway. That I'm supposed to be doing that, right? But then you find some artists that are, I think Ron Fair from Universal used to call them empty vessels. They have literally nothing to say at all to the world. But sometimes that's good because if they have nothing to say, they're more willing to take outside songs. So like, I remember when he would work with Mariah Carey or, you know, one of those artists, he said, best thing about this woman is she doesn't know how to write songs. So now I could get her the best songs in the world and she became huge.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The worst kind of artist is the ones that think they know how to write songs, that can't write songs.
Yeah.
And then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, so when you find that middle ground, the challenge is, you know, like John Hammond, I always use the John Hammond thing when I run into that. If we're going to make a 10-song album, let's do the rule of like threes. You get 3 songs. I have nothing to say. 3 songs we agree on, but I get 3 songs. So that way I have, you know, my shot at having hits with these 3. 3 of them will kind of get together on and kind of, you know, kumbaya this one. And here's the other 3 that you get to pick whatever you want. And a lot of albums were made like that for a long time. And that way everybody was happy, you know. Now the stubborn artists, some artists would just go, no, I have to write the whole thing. And if you think that they don't have that vision, then you just don't work with them, you know. And you could be wrong, by the way. They might have the vision. It just might not be your thing you're saying.
Every singer, you have a different songwriting dynamic. I worked with 3 over the years. I usually, believe it or not, like I make like hip hop hip hop that white people would like. That's what I.
Yeah, I listen to your stuff. Yeah,
that's my specialty.
Gracie Veterano, old family first, fam. Taught the world to swing that double-edged sword. It works, fam. BJJ from GJJ, like Cool Herc gave birth to what your DJ plays. But despite the lineage, I will never be closed-minded. Refuse to see beyond the lines, you go blind. Rocker travels the 10th planet, I flow free. I'm welcome on mini-mats, gi to no gi. Though my branch traces roots to the original tree. Roots sprouted from the original seed. Water with blood, sweat, and tears, spotlight with sunlight. That tree became a forest, ballet tudo done right. Then Hoyts dominated them all in one night. And hate song hasn't been beaten in one fight. Flow with the go, in a hit on an holly note. That to continue to win, we must continue to grow. Let's go.
We did it, mama. We did it. We did it for the love of the game. We did it, mama. We did it. I did it for. Yes, yes, sir. We did it, mama. We did it. The game will never be the same. We did it, mama. We did it. I did it for. Triumphant, born with pride and abundance. Look up to the sky, hide a little smile and amusement. Never grown accustomed to losing, live and die for the love of this music. Cabela thrives when the times are the toughest and truest. Keep in mind when the universe gets aligned. When the remnants of this verse are injected into your spine. There'll be evidence of this platform, we rock it all the time. Better in what we stand for, the anchor and the line straight. Slap on a choke if anybody provokes. I'm in it to win and rep it for my fam and my folks. They say just rap now, man, this is murder he wrote. It's like Mickey D's on the streets. If you look in the coat, you can compound your creed with an image of hope. Study the foul physics of falsified gimmicks. Rise and fall with it and try to ride different. Your life ain't worth living if you ain't got vision. Come on. We did it, mama. We did it. We did it for the love of the game. We did it, mama. We did it. I did it for. Yes, yes, sir. We did it, mama. We did it. The game will never be the same. We did it, mama. We did it. I did it for. Fucking alliance and tech planet rocking with Irish science. Silencing all these idiots caught up in all their ignorance. 2 clans fighting under the same banner. We all got love for this ground game and that's all that matters. In the balance of the teachings of the grandmaster. I'm trying to master the system, that's what I'm after. And stay true to the craft, spark trees to relax. Old school miracle, lyrical lace in the track. And I'm working the angles on me sharp and precise, man. Back in the day when I was learning and rocking this mic. Paying homage to the classic shit. Dilated, undisputed heavyweights repping Los Angeles. And yeah, I do this for the 213. Historical flip down, you know I'm with that G. So fire in the hole, slick with the flow. High caliber rappers is here to shatter the fucking mold. Come on. We did it for the love of the game. We did it, mama. I did it for. The game will never be the same. We did it, mama. I did it for. I did it for.
I was brought up a metalhead, and I was into, Nine Inch Nails and Depeche Mode and The Cure and metal. So most rap comes from like samples, like from funk and jazz, and that's not in my blood. I'm not into blues, jazz.
No, you like a good
funk.
steady hard. You like a downbeat. I've listened to your stuff. You like a good downbeat. Yeah.
But I love, like you, man. I fucking love vocal melodies or everything. So I've worked with 3 different female singers, 3 different projects, and all 3 of them totally different dynamics when it comes to producing them. The first one, Gina, she wrote all the lyrics. She can write 11 songs. She could freestyle. She could just take a mic and freestyle. So I like that. I like if I don't have to write the lyrics, that's fine. I just arranged the vocal melody. She didn't know how to really compose songs, so I would just record her. I would loop a track and just record her for an hour, and then I would arrange it. Then I go sing this here, sing there. But she wrote all the lyrics, and it was a great working dynamic. And then there was Miranda, who she was a very good musician, pianist, guitar player. She had her own band and was writing all her own songs. So I'm like, cool. She wrote all her own lyrics. I said, just let me, I'm going to write the music. I put the music together and let me compose and arrange the vocal melodies. But she was really good. She was professional. And then there was Drea, an amazing singer. Her vocals were insane. She didn't want to write lyrics. She didn't want to write vocal melodies. She had no interest in that. So I'm like, okay, because I write lyrics, and I'm not the most prolific guy. I don't like write lyrics all day, but I do write lyrics. I do write songs. So I go, oh, she'll do my songs. So it was like 3 different dynamics, and it all worked together. I would rather have the singer write their own shit, because that's what the fans, they want to know that the singer wrote those lyrics, and they come from the singer's heart. When they find out that someone else wrote those lyrics, sometimes, not everybody even finds that out. Most people aren't even interested, but when they do find that out, like, damn, they didn't even write the lyrics. It's always better when the singer writes the lyrics, right?
Yeah.
For music heads, you want, like if you found out Axl Rose didn't write any of the lyrics, you're like, oh my God, he didn't write any lyrics.
Yeah.
And then Ozzy, that's an anomaly. He didn't write any lyrics, but he wrote the vocal melodies, which is the most important part. He would go up to Bob Daisley, who was a bass player. Bob Daisley wrote all the lyrics, and in Black Sabbath, Geezer Butler wrote all the lyrics. So, but he would tell him, like, I want the song like this, but I want the vocal melody like this, and he would just like hum it, and then they would write all the lyrics, and then he would take them, kind of like Elton John. Elton John didn't write any lyrics. One of his partners,
Bernie Taupin.
Yeah. So that's a beautiful thing too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's the thing, is that it can be done so many ways. There isn't really a way to produce. There isn't a way to write. Like somebody said, like, what do you think is the way to produce records? And I said, I always say, have at it, man. Like, whatever works for you, like, as long as you remember the word produce means to produce, it means to put something out. It means to finish something, to finish it, to get it out there. I always remind everybody in my studio about that. We can have fun and everything, but our job is to get the music out to the public. Like, we have to get it done. Can't sit around wasting time. Got to get the project done.
What project are you really excited about right now? Because we met because we have a connection with Cam. He's a producer in Atlanta, an amazing producer.
Yeah. By the way, I think he is we want to do a lot of work with him.
He's amazing.
And I like the fact that he's been through a little bit of the mill already with Rise Records and a few other things that he's worked on before. Yeah. So he's put in his hours. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's going through, I've sort of did a little deep dive on him. And a lot of times I get worried about people who are just up and coming guys. I don't know how much they've suffered enough. Like, you got to have a little bit of that. He has put in a lot of of the groundwork already. And you can tell because he's super creative, but behind all of it is he understands song arrangements really well.
Yes.
Like basic stuff, like the Latin song means form, good form. So a good song has good form, and he's got good form in his stuff. And I like his personality. He's very easygoing in a lot of ways. Like he can be artist friendly. So there's a lot of things, like I didn't meet him that long, but right away I kind of like took to him, and I was like, because we wanted to do like more work with him.
Yeah,
we really like him. And Dreambeard, we liked a lot. Dreambeard's his own thing, man. He's like
that project. I've heard maybe 4 or 5 songs from that project, dude. There's not much music. 10 years of the strip club music. There's not much music that excites me, but that Dreambeard stuff that Cam's doing, fuck, dude. Oh my God,
it's great.
The song High Life, the song Spray, High Life. Oh shit.
Yeah. And I love his story, Dreambeard. He's got a, background of being a preacher or all that.
Yes.
So these lyrics are coming from an interesting place. And there's a story to tell behind it. So we're always looking, I found when I look at my successful artists, they all had some kind of story in their lives. Do you know what I mean? Something about that drove them to do what they're doing and why they're on this earth. Like, what story are they trying to tell? Like, I think that's what I like about you. You have a story. You went and became this really successful jiu-jitsu guy.
I didn't want to. I didn't want it.
But that doesn't, but see, this is what's great about life. If you read, Jack Holtzman's book about Elektra Records, he was the president of Elektra Records. His book is called Follow the Music. And it's such a smart way of looking at your career. Don't fight against the way are things. Like, I had never produced a metal record before. I didn't even know what metal was. Like, I didn't know what that shit was. I didn't know what Metal Blade was. And all of a sudden I'm doing TSOL and Motorhead. And I was like, hey, I like pop music. I like R&B records. I'm not listening to this shit's not in my record collection, any of it, And I'm in the studio with Sepultura. But you know what? It was the music telling me something that I wasn't aware of. And I just kept, and I remember when I read that book about halfway through my career, I went like, geez, that really resonates with me. Like, because I remember in the beginning fighting it, going like, I don't want to produce this 3-chord shit. Like, these guys don't even play thirds in their chords. They're just playing like fifths, Yeah. And, just tritones and all kinds of stuff. This stuff sucks. I don't even know. They're screaming half the time. It's not even melodic, But the music, somehow I was getting those projects. And so therefore, you can't. The artists that I find that fight against that, nothing ever happens with them. Nothing. They keep trying to do pop albums when they should be doing metal records, or maybe they're a metal artist trying to do pop record. You know what I mean? Like, there's something there that's telling you something. Why fight it?
Yeah. What do you think about all this? I subscribe to these YouTube channels that take like a Soundgarden song and make it a 60s soul song, or take a metal song and make it a dark country song, or take like the latest one, Alice in Chains Wood turned into dark wave. It's fucking amazing. And it's all
I think that stuff's great.
It's all AI.
I think it's awesome. You know what? If you took Mozart from the 1700s, it's played by 700 different orchestras, 70 different ways. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just interpreted by different conductors and different musicians and different places and different arrangements. So we're doing the same thing with music now.
Yeah.
It's great.
We're figuring out that because one of the projects, when I thought I was going to take over the music business, I really didn't. I had all these projects as a producer, you know what I mean? Because mainly I think of myself as a producer. I put together songs. I'm in a band too, but that's like a joke band. It's like, I do comedy music too. I do music that has like funny lyrics and shit. That's what I think. But generally I like to produce. And one of the projects I always had, I was like, I'm going to take all these deep cut metal ballads that nobody knows about, that didn't make, they weren't hits. And I'm going to turn them into, I'm going to put together a country. I'm going to find a country singer and have, like, put a whole album and have them cover all these metal ballads and turn them into country. That was the thing for like 20 years I had in the back of my head. Now, with AI, that's all like possible like that now. I'm like, oh my God, look at all these amazing songs. Like,
well, you've heard Pat Boone's record, right? Pat Boone does metal.
Oh, really? They turned Pat Boone into metal? Really?
Oh, it's awesome. Well, that was like 20 years ago. For real. He did it with a full orchestra.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
He does Enter Sandman. It's hilarious.
I had no idea. Pat Boone?
Yeah, you got to go on Spotify and look it up. Yeah,
shit.
Pat Boone.
Oh, shit. You know what I find? When they're taking metal songs and turning them into like 60s soul, I was never really into 60s soul, and I could appreciate how it sounds. And if I got introduced to 60s soul with like a Black Hole Sun or something like that, maybe I would like it or something. But what I really like though is I like the metal songs turned into dark country, and metal songs turned into dark wave. That's what I really like. And
you know what it shows you? A great song is a great song.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't matter how you do it.
Yeah.
You could do it any 6,000 different ways.
Yep.
And it's still great. I always tell my artists in the studio, don't aim for every blade of grass out there when you're trying to hit the ball. If it's a great song, the ball can go left, center, right. It doesn't matter. It's a hit. It doesn't matter where it goes. You know, a great song is going to be beyond all that limitation. So look how many times what was the most covered song of all time. I think it's like White Christmas or something like that. I mean, it's done so many ways.
How about Hey Joe? Hey Joe, like, it's been covered so much that nobody even knows who originally wrote it.
Yeah, great song too. I've done that song when I was a kid.
Everyone thinks Jimi Hendrix wrote that. It was like it was a song everybody played back.
It's an old blues song. Yeah. I remember I just my wife convinced me to do a tour of the old recording studio. So about a month and a half ago, I flew to Nashville and I went to all the studios, and I went to Muscle Shoals, and then I went to Fame. And then we went to Elvis's place. We got a tour of Graceland.
Oh, nice.
And we went to Sun Studios. And I got to see all the old studios. And it was so cool to see all that stuff, like where these great records were made, conceived of and made, like where they recorded, Leonard Skinner's, Freebird, like I heard the demo of Freebird, which was done like, on a piano as opposed to an organ. Like, it's so cool because these songs are timeless songs. They'll outlive all of us. That stuff.
The magic.
Yeah, I got to go soon. By the way, I got a singer coming like 10 minutes.
Before you go, what should we be looking for from Judge and Jury Records? What is the next? What are you most excited about?
I think that we're going to do a Hoobastank album. We're working with them, and we signed Butcher Babies. We also signed Alien Ant Farm. We're going to be doing new music from artists that haven't put out a lot of new music. And I've worked with some of these artists before, like Hoobastank. And, but Butcher Babies, we've developed Butcher Babies over the course of a year. And we're now going to be putting out their first full-length album. And we have the stuff coming from Cameron stuff with the record he did with Mixie. Stitched Up Hearts record that Cameron did. And we are now the kind of go-to rock label, which we weren't trying to be, actually. Neil and I were just interested in producing a bunch of stuff. And then my son, Grady, who never really wanted to be in the music business, but actually took to it pretty well, but not on the creative side, more on the business side. So he has a staff of about 8 people that run the back stuff, like all the social media marketing and all that stuff. Yeah. So we've done really well with these artists. And I think it's just because from the top on down, from Neil and I on down, it's all about the music. We try to keep it super focused on that. So if we give you guys good music, you should be able to do something with it. And they do a great job with it. So, we had a #1 rock hit with what do you call it? Breaking Benjamin at Starset. Yeah. So, I'm staying in here, by the way. This is my safe spot. Like the rest of it, I can't remember anything like besides what I'm trying to, there's enough to do, honestly, musically that even though it's Neil and I's label, we sort of stay away from the business side of it a little bit. We stick to the music side, That's kind of what, they brought us in for.
Yeah, that 3 Days Grace show that I went to, that was like
Dude, they're huger than I thought. I couldn't believe how huge these guys are.
Oh my God.
And I've known them forever, right? But when they brought Adam back, it's like this. You know what I appreciated about that show? I liked that Adam went up on stage and said he left the band and then he came back. Like, he was honest about what happened. And I thought the honesty really, it's endearing to the crowd, to the people out there.
No band has ever done that. No band has ever had a singer put out a few big albums, replaced the singer, and then brought the singer back, but kept the new singer. And now 3 Days Grace has the original singer and the new singer together.
It's like you couldn't have planned it out. You couldn't have written it out like this.
It sounded so good. Oh my God, they complement each other. When one guy's singing the lead, the other guy's on guitar singing the harmonies, backing him up, making him sound good, and then vice versa. They flip it around. It's genius.
So you know where all the vocals were done? Here, right where you're looking.
Wow.
Everything done here. They flew in from Canada for 2 weeks. I have a vocal booth over there. It's just me and them and my assistant, and that's it.
It's a beautiful thing, man. That show just blew me the fuck away. It sounded so good, and
they did.
It was so packed. It was insane.
How was the next band? Did you stay for the next one after the Breaking
Benjamin?
Did you stay? I didn't stay for that.
I actually didn't either. We left after 3 Days Grace. I haven't done deep dives on Breaking Benjamin. I couldn't even tell you one song from Breaking Benjamin. But they're always around. Anytime on shuffle, like if I just do random Apple shuffle, they'll always throw me some Breaking Benjamin in like Pandora. Oh, yeah. But I never really gave them a good listen. I never did.
Well, that band is all about him, Ben, and he has such a unique persona and sound that, like, 3 Days Grace, to me, you need all five of those guys for that to work.
Yeah.
Because I think that Neil is such a big part. Neil and Brad, they're like the two original OG guys, besides Adam, but Adam left and came back. Yeah. But Neil and Brad were sort of the OG guys. Their vision, when they brought Barry on, there's a lane that they really musically are able to keep that band within their lane. You know what I mean? And they know how to write 3 Days Grace songs super well. And a lot of times when they try to pull out of that lane, there's a really good way of keeping it. Like, it's like AC/DC. Like, AC/DC sounds like AC/DC.
Yeah.
No matter what they do.
Yeah.
3 Days Grace has that same thing. They always sound like 3 Days Grace.
Yeah.
And I think that's hard to do. That's not easy. Yeah. That a lot of bands go, oh, you're just doing the same thing over and over again. No, it's really hard to stay on brand with things. People get distracted, That's why if you look at the successful bands, they're the ones who have kept their same brand. They were able to keep, like Ben is like that. Ben's got Breaking Benjamin is like the biggest band. They're just the 3 Days Grace is never about the same.
Yeah.
But their brand is, look at Linkin Park. I remember when I produced Chester Bennington, I was blessed to do his solo album, and I asked Chester, why does Linkin Park have so many hit records? Like, it's amazing. Everything you write is hits. And he goes, because we have one thing we write about every time. And I was like, I couldn't wait to hear that. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is that one thing? Because I want to know what it is, because I'm going to steal it. What is it? And he goes, I'm 17. I'm feeling something, and I don't know what it is.
Wow. Yeah.
That killed me when he said that.
Yeah.
Because I was like, fuck, that's so what they write about, and it's always the same kind of thing. And they stay in there, that lane. And it's the same. And you know what? It's such a great thing to write about, because there's plenty of 17-year-olds always that are always going to not know what am I feeling it? Why am I feeling this?
Yeah.
Like, I'm so confused, or 3 Days Grace, it's different. They're more about conquering the mountain, overcoming the challenge. Here's a barrier. How do I get past it? How do I get past my own feelings? How do I move on with the day? They're a different brand, a different thing. So those are the nuances. As a producer, you have to remember what you're doing. It's not about your record. It's their record, So sometimes you have to put aside your own feelings and just go, okay, are we doing what's good for the artist here? So there's a lot of mental challenges that keep going on in your head to make sure you're doing the right like on the new Hoobastank record, I had to readjust my entire way of looking at music because I've been looking at it the same way for the last few years. They came at it like a right angle to what I was thinking. And I was just like, holy shit, man, I got to rethink all this stuff, you know? But I love their angle, what they're coming at. They're coming at it differently. And it's so valid for them. And I didn't really see it at first. So you need to be kind of open-minded. You know what I mean? You can't be just so serious shit that you think you know everything. You don't, you know? You just got to like accept, like Jack Holzman said, let the music tell you where is it going, you know? So, you know, anyway, I can keep going.
Hey, Howard, I know you got to get going.
Yeah, I do. I do.
All
right.
So are you a hardcore football fan or like you're only into the Eagles because they won the Super Bowl?
No, man, I'm from Philly.
Okay.
How much harder core can you get than being an Eagles fan?
Yeah. Well, I'm a Cleveland Browns fanatic, and all we have is misery, just misery after misery.
It's misery for you guys.
Oh my God, this year is just, it's atrocious. But
you know what though? You got to put in Shador. Put him in.
That's what I say. I put in Shador. I was like, I had Dylan's back, Dylan Gabriel. I had his back. He's just too short. We got to throw Shador in, you know. But
you know why you put Shador in? Because Shador's swag.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need swag in that position. Look, you need to get obviously you need to learn how to play it. But look at like, you know, who's that quarterback that's doing really well right now? Bo Nix.
Yeah,
Bo Nix has swag.
Yeah.
You know, these guys come in with like, you know, you think they're going to win. You know what I mean?
But the crazy thing is it's the swag that kind of made him drop from a potential first-round pick to a fifth-round pick because the league was like, you know what? This guy comes with too much baggage with Dion, his dad, with all the legendary, the big chains and all that. It kind of turned off the owners.
We should hang out at some point. You live around here.
I'm in Sherman Oaks. I'm right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Anytime you want to hang out,
you'll come by the studio and you just hang out with us there.
Fuck
you know?
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
You know?
Are you kidding me?
We'll throw you on a song. We'll just throw you in there in the vocal booth.
Dude.
Just do something.
Let me know when, dog. I'll go right now. Just let me know when. Thank you very much, man. You have a good session, and we'll talk soon.
Okay. All right, then. Bye.
The Jiu Jitsu Dojo is the ultimate training ground for life. Jiu Jitsu will accelerate the evolution of your being, your consciousness, your soul. Through this amazing art, you will prove to yourself that you can master anything you set your mind to.
Happy birthday, Eddie Bravo.
I leave for Brazil tomorrow.
Are you the Fear Factor guy?
I'm like 6 pounds over. Time to sweat it out.
Just imagine someone that has no idea how different your game is.
I'll tell you what this weekend was, man. It was a culmination point where all your hard work comes to like one great moment in time. You showed that you're a fucking champion, guy who goes against convention. You created your own shit and figured interesting ways to get around problems in jiu-jitsu. And shows you that great things are possible if you work hard, if you dedicate yourself, and you use your creativity, and you push through. Your own human potential just goes up.
My 10th Planet Association has grown rapidly to over 70 academies worldwide, and their curriculums are all synced to 10th Planet headquarters located in downtown Los Angeles. I'm Eddie Bravo. I hope to see you on the mats.